The following program, though incredibly nerdy, is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised, and you probably shouldn't watch if you're an overly sensitive pussy.
What up? And welcome on in. It's gonna be a good stream, man. We've got some juicy stuff to get into. We actually have a ton of cool stuff going on today, man. A ton of cool stuff. We have some of my favorite things. Some of my favorite things are going on today. We have a controversial topic. We've got a potential whiteboard segment. We've got a Warhammer segment. It's gonna be a good stream. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it. Wait. No, don't. Come back. It's not too much Warhammer. No, don't worry. It's not that much Warhammer. You can deal with it. Just relax. Cougars or cougars? What the hell does that even mean? Oh man. How's everybody doing? How you guys doing? How's the week treating you? Here, I'll show you what we got going on here. A little whiteboard stream. Only problem is the only marker I could find. Here, let me show you. Take this down a little bit. The only mark I could find was this one. Can you read that? Can you guys read that? We might have to delay it if it's not legible. Well, I gotta go get better markers. These are the only markers I could. That's kind of tough to read, yeah? We need them thick boy markers. Also with the focus, it might be a little crazy. So since we got the new setup, I haven't done the whiteboard yet, so maybe we'll try it. We'll see how it goes as like a learning experience. But either way, we got a lot to get into today. It should be a really fun stream, and we have a Warhammer Wednesday stream going on as well this week. Tonight at 7:30. Oh no. Seems like my headphone might be gone. Tonight at 7:30, and it will have to do with what we're going to talk about in the Warhammer segment on stream right now. But we will do that tonight. I'm actually pretty excited because I want to get into the weeds on what I think is happening with this live action show, the Warhammer Cinematic Universe, all that Cavill stuff just in general. So we'll talk about it a little bit on stream today, but if you really want the deep dive, come by tonight at 7:30 if you're Warhammer curious or you're just straight up into Warhammer. By the way, I played a Warhammer game last night. It was good, but damn, 11th edition is hard, which is also something I'm going to talk about tonight on stream because My experience of getting into 11th is definitely different than getting into 10th, and I'm having a bit of trouble adjusting, but I actually think that could help some of you guys out as well. If you're also in a similar position, I'll susplain it. I'll susplain what's going on. Also, hang on. Hang on a second. There's something in the camera. Oh my God, the dog's coming in. Jeez. My name is Warhammer. What the hell? Nobody's name is Warhammer. Relax. Heather Warhammer edition figure. You know, I gotta applaud the creativity. And also ban you forever. So see you never. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, let me get this set up here. A bit discombobulated. Zach, thank you so much for the 5 gifted members, man. Really appreciate it. And then you said, seeing the whiteboard is proof that the road to Doomsday will be peak nerdvenging. Much love, Josh. Nerdvengers for life. Well, yeah, I mean, if we get a thicker marker, it'll help. But yeah. Yeah, it should be fun. It should be a big old, fun old stream. Do we still get Blade's Midnight Suns? I think so. Yeah. So, low volume? Is it low? What about this? Is that a little bit better? Is that a little bit better? Adam, get a marker. I know, Carl. Let him know. So, as far as Blade and Midnight Suns, I still think so. But, of course, the comments made by Mahershala are a bit concerning. Other people say, and other people are reporting that he's still in Secret Wars and he's still going to be Blade. But those comments are definitely interesting. So, I don't know. I actually think it would be good to have... Because apparently Ryan Gosling's Ghost Rider is going to be in Secret Wars, which I think is pretty cool. I think it would be great to have him and Blade. And then maybe throw Deadpool into that scene and have Deadpool make a commentary on that whole situation. That's what I would personally do. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think we're still getting Midnight Suns and Blade? Mahershala did seem kind of mad. I don't know. You know who else is mad? Me. About these updates about She-Hulk. Wait till we get into that segment, man. I'm pretty upset about it. Only ever gonna be one Blade? Says Phil. Nope, no Deadpool. Wait, what? I hope so. I hope that we see a drunk Tony Stark in Secret Wars. I think you will. I think you will. I think that's kind of rumored at this point. It's out there. Recast him. He's Cottonmouth. What up? What up? What up? I loved him as Cottonmouth, actually. That whole show takes a major dive when he dies. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Reading comprehension out the door. I don't even know what that means. So I can't comprehend it. Nope. But if we get Blade, it'll be someone different. What? You think so? You think so? Kind of be a bad look, I think. Deadpool saved the MCU. Let me think about that for a second. No, he didn't. It was a fun movie, though. It was quite fun. Ew, She-Hulk. Yeah, well, you know, look, I think She-Hulk obviously has its reputation, and I think it's a pretty bad one. But wait till you hear these new details, because look, I wanted to go over this. It's controversial. It's going to be a controversial segment. Some of you guys will like it. Some of you guys won't like it. But I want to talk about it because it matches up with some things I heard about Feige and Marvel Studios and this whole Phase 4-5 thing. And so I wanted to explain this. Also, too, Feige and company they've been taking a lot of shots this week, and a lot of people accuse them of all sorts of crazy stuff. And they can't necessarily defend themselves outright. So I'll do my best to defend them, not because I'm a total shill, but because I actually think their position is completely defensible and understandable. But it is a bit controversial. So we'll get into that. Fish Like Production says, is post-credit scene of Brand New Day and incursion with Toby? Do incursions bring their moon and satellites too could explain why the app recognizes his Earth. I've seen people with that take as well. I suppose so. The way I understand it is this: as the Earths are colliding, a space opens between them, and essentially it's something like a portal. And when you go through the other side, the other Earth is there, okay? But that over an 8-hour period, or at least this is what it was in the comics, over an 8-hour period, that expands to the point that the two Earths can actually see each other and actually physically begin colliding, okay? So the portal will open up and two Earths are just there. But it's after that time, it's after about 8 hours that they actually start to collide, okay? And I suppose at that point, they're technically close in orbit, so all their satellites and everything would be there. But it still doesn't make... The post-credit scene still doesn't make sense, in my opinion. Because even if you're looking at two, like, really similar Earths, and they both have the app, and they both have people that are reporting the app, wouldn't you get something like a double signal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm overthinking it, and maybe you're overthinking it, to be honest. Like, it's probably just, like, Spider-Man's off-world. What does that mean, you know? And I guess we'll have to find out. Since Brand New Day takes place before Doomsday... Oh, pardon me. I still got a little bit of the sniffles. I'm feeling a lot better. But I got a little bit of the sniffles, so pardon me. Hang on here, Rossi. I was reading something else. I keep seeing posts about a displacement theory for the mutants. Theory suggests all mutants originated from 828 and were displaced to another universe, maybe by the TVA on purpose. Thoughts? Where are you seeing that? And, like, is there evidence for it? Like, who's talking about that? Because I don't really see it. But maybe, I guess. That's kind of interesting. Rossi says with a $5 holla, do you think Stark will get his family back after Secret Wars? Will he be single again? I hope that after he reset, Heather becomes his girlfriend like in the comics. You know, I thought as I was reading this, I was like, wow, what a nice message from Rossi. Not triggering at all. You know, no mention of Heather. I was like, what a great message. And then you fucked it all up at the end, didn't you? Didn't you? What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah, no, I think he'll get his family back, yeah. KJX says, Punisher with Daredevil, fuck you, Murdoch. Meanwhile, Punisher with Spider-Man, my man. Yeah, but, like, can you blame him? Can you blame him? You know, one thing I've been seeing a lot of in the commentary around Spider-Man, and I think it's really cool, is a lot of people are just like, man, fucking Spider-Man is just great. Peter Parker's just great. You know, even though they're doing interesting stuff with him and he's depressed and all that sort of stuff, super relatable, kind of a pretty chill guy, actually stands up for what's right. Like, you know, not to say that Daredevil doesn't, but he did allow his girlfriend to psychoanalyze him all season and then say that she saved herself. I mean, look, if Matt was ever going to break his kill rule, I mean, I know he kind of already did in the Netflix show, but like, dude, do that exact same thing that you did to Nabu to Heather and just huck her off the fucking roof. And I don't know, I just feel like you've got Emmy winning. I think the whole trajectory of Marvel changes. I really think that would have been pretty incredible. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. You know, you can't always get what you want, I guess. Dub Bears fan YouTube says, what camera do you use, bro? Looking extra crispy. Oh, thank you. It's some kind of Sony. I couldn't even tell you, and I certainly can't read it off of the camera. It's not that expensive though. Now I have two of these things, but I think they're only like $2,000 a piece, so it's probably like a lesser. It does 4K. Has some overheating problems, which you can supplement with a fan. But yeah. There's a registered sighting. We zoom out and we see a new spot, and the app can't locate the dot. End up being in a random spot of space. Yeah, that's true. 4K that never works. Well, it's not the camera's fault. It's the computer's fault. The computer can't handle the 4K, and you know, I probably should just buy a new computer, but. Yeah. Sony owns Spider-Man. Oh shit! I didn't even realize that's true. That's true. How would the app show him in space? What technology did Ned create? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I wouldn't think too hard about it. You know, don't think about it too much. Yeah. Aaron going hard on Fauci. Yeah, I thought that was amazing. Not even just for the contents, but also like just the last day of work energy that he has is so funny. Like he truly does not care. And it's kind of amazing. I saw the movie second time and I felt the park scene kind of dragged a bit. Maybe they could have cut it. What do you think, Josh? The park scene? Are you talking about the fucking backstory with Sarah and Jean? No, I didn't think it dragged, bro. You need that scene. Did you guys think that scene dragged? You know, when they finally explained like her powers and her sister and her history, I thought it was just a bit much. Probably didn't need that, you know. Only thing I was left wanting was Daredevil making an appearance. Hey, Charlie, I love you, brother. Get off your sock puppet accounts, Charlie. It's all good, man. You know what I mean? Like, I get it though. What if anchor beings are Molecule Man, a universe ticking time bomb? I don't think anchor beings are anything. I don't think anchor beings are even exist. In fact, I think anchor beings were invented by Jessica Gao, the creator of She-Hulk. Which is why they suck. Chaplain on Wheels says, geeking out about Brand New Day, Peter and Ned quote, Lord of the Rings. I felt the flashback scene with Jean and Sarah felt like Gollum into Smeagol and Deagle. Thoughts? Damn, y'all be hating these ladies, huh? You know, God forbid a couple gals develop psychic powers and immediately start violating human rights. God forbid. You know, you're so sensitive. What would you want for Spider-Man 5? I saw Sammy J suggest Black Cat, Mr. Negative, and Daredevil. I thought that would be cool. Yeah, I like that combo, man. I like that combo, especially Black Cat, because she's so hot. And maybe she could fix Daredevil. You know what I mean? I'm starting to think of a ship now. Yeah. Star Wars Sith 66. Appreciate you, Tony, with a $20 holla. Says Brand New Day had no business being as good as it was. It made me feel things. This is what happens when you feel things, huh? This is what happiness feels like, huh? Yeah. So you're a Star Wars fan, so you haven't had this feeling in quite some time. I mean, I've been trying to get you to... Warhammer it's a little bit of a different vibe, but it's still very loving. You know, you feel so much love with the brutality and the fucking violence, and you know, it's awesome. But yeah, no, you Star Wars fans probably don't remember this feeling, but us Marvel fans, it's just like, it just feels like old times. You know what I mean? Like, we've been here, we've done that. Biggest franchise of all time, most memorable characters, best catalog. Literally carrying this fucking dying theatrical industry on our back. Meanwhile, that entire fucking industry and all their little dweeby journos taking shots at Feige the whole time. He's got the fucking industry on his back. We've been here. We've done that. So, you know, but I understand and I appreciate the $20. Thank you. It's very nice. Are you going to get into Warhammer yet? Josh, I want to read J. Hickman's Secret Wars. Have they compiled all the issues into one book? Oh, dude, yes. That's a great question. That's not a bad question, man. No more supers for Josh. No, they actually have an incredible compendium for Secret Wars. I believe it's a hardcover. What are them Johns called? The real big ones? I believe they finally have that, and it's great. It has all kinds of collected issues, and then the straight run of Secret Wars. I thought just the hardcover trade paperback of Secret Wars is incredible as well. I also, you know, not to toot omnibus, thank you. Not to toot my own horn, but I actually did a really good video that breaks down that run and then Secret Wars. I'm like actually really proud of that video. Maybe somebody can link you it in chat, but it does a great job of breaking it down as well. But yeah, the omnibus is the way to go, for sure. Legends of Sig says, heard a theory that in post-credit, the app had the Spider-Verse glitch and is signaling Miles joining the MCU. Spider-Verse drops before Secret Wars. Ooh. I mean, I don't hate it. The realistic chances of that happening are pretty low, I think. There was a time when Sony and Marvel, from what I've heard, were a little bit more open to that animated live action connection. And you'll recall that even Alex Perez had reported that they were thinking about doing a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and maybe even taking some of the popular animated characters and put them in sequels. I hated that shit. I was like, please God, no. It seems as though they've backed off of both of those things. I will tell you this, though. I'm damn sure Miles is coming. I'm fairly confident that Tom wants to pass the baton to Miles in the MCU, probably after like 2 more movies, or maybe Miles comes in, you know, kind of like that too. So yeah, I don't know if I agree that that's Miles, but that's kind of a fun theory. Pro Gamer with a 10 spot says Marvel is definitely back. I haven't felt the MCU resonate with me this much since Spider-Man No Way Home, with the only exception being maybe Guardians 3. Much love, Josh. Yeah, I do think this Spider-Man movie is doing absolutely remarkable things, and I definitely think it's just got us all with that Marvel feeling again. Man, it's kind of funny how this success has really altered the narrative a lot. Of course, one of my favorite things is all the clowning that's happening to James Gunn. I mean, guys, they literally announced the female lead for the Jimmy Olsen show yesterday. Like, they're literally trying to get motherfuckers to be excited about the female lead to the Jimmy Olsen show. Like, I don't know what kind of medication this guy is on, but he's just gonna like create quirky, stupid shit as the Titanic is going down. Like, he's like that the fucking violin people, except he's doing like quirky, weird, silly shit. And frankly, it's been amazing to watch so many people start to finally turn on him and see it for what it is. But there's also, you know, there's other things to be excited about and to be pumped about. But yeah, Marvel is well, we're gonna get into it, man. But I really think that I really think they have not only the juice, not only do they have a plan and they have the X-Men in the back pocket, but they're finally killing the television side of things. I mean, how long have I personally been trying to get that to happen, guys? You know what I mean? Like, think about it for real. Like, how long have I been like, fuck these Disney Plus shows? You know what I mean? Like, dog, I've been on this for a while. And look, I'm not saying they've listened to me, because they obviously didn't, because I was trying to get them to do it a long time ago. But I do think when you're super plugged in, I mean, think about it, dude. Like, we're literally a Marvel channel. And when the idea of Disney Plus shows was first introduced, I thought it would be fantastic for the channel. I thought it would be fantastic for our, you know, community. And it did start out that way. The WandaVision streams were great. Things were popping. Loki show was very, very popular. And when Paul, I remember vividly, man, when Loki was coming out, Paul from Heavy Spoilers would pull like 1 million views per breakdown. 1 million? And now we're like way back from that, right? But there was a moment where it could have worked, but it just didn't. It fell completely apart. It oversaturated the whole thing. It did so much brand damage that I'm like 4 episodes behind on X-Men 97, and I like the show. I watched like 0 Disney Plus last year. I just like, it is literally way worse than people are willing to admit. And as I've often stated, that's completely understandable. You guys represent some of the most hardcore fans that are out there. If you're still watching my dumbass after 10 years, you know, or whatever, and you're still like engaged and hanging with Marvel, you represent this like upper echelon of hardcore. You are not going to be the people that check out of the Disney Plus shows. Like, you're the least likely group to actually see what I'm talking about. But I promise you, it happened to a huge amount of people. And I'll never stop talking about this. When I did the Deadpool VR thing, when I went to New York City with Facebook, like, I'm in there with like nerdy TikTokers and, you know, all these other content creators that literally they're super big nerds, dude. They are the target audience, right, for this shit. They were way more checked out than I could have ever imagined. So it was one of those situations where nobody could admit fully what was going on. And even with this Wonder Man stuff, you know, like Destin's talking about how like it wasn't he doesn't think it's Kevin's decision because Kevin loved the show. I don't know about that, brother. Like I'm kind of hearing behind closed doors like Kevin's absolutely on board with what has happened to the industry and why it needs to change. So yeah, I really think we're in a really good space for Marvel. And as long as they just ignore some of the whiners online and some of these like really small groups of people that can stir up a lot of attention on the internet and do like what you should do as an adult, I think we're gonna be okay. For sure. Vision Quest was a good movie. Hey, Vision Quest might be all right, but then don't do any more of those. Don't do any more of those. Gunn was hired in secret to destroy DC. I've heard that theory quite a bit, actually. I've heard that theory quite a bit. I don't really believe that theory, but it is kind of fun, huh? I read that and laughed. I can't imagine that combo he had. Oh yeah, it wasn't my decision. Yeah, but like to be fair to Destin, like he's in an interesting position. Oh, thank you so much. We got thick boys. We got thick boy markers. Thank you, my wife. Yeah, like to be fair to Destin, like he should have the license to talk his shit and kind of angle it however he wants. I actually think Destin is frankly saying a lot of shit that's like a shade of truth right now, but he's like the biggest dick on the block right now. He broke Endgame's record. He gets to say and do whatever the fuck he wants, and I'm not going to give him a lot of shit for it. But yeah, I don't think that's exactly correct. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure Kevin sees what's going on. And to be real, the success of Spider-Man should really show us that, right? Because we had this drought, and I mean, last year they did 8 different Disney Plus shows, but there's basically been nothing that released this year other than X-97. I know Daredevil technically came out, but I'm telling you, like 13 people watched that. 13 people watched that. Nobody watched that. So for a lot of us, and I mean a lot of us, we were ready to enjoy some Marvel shit. It had been a while, and we weren't like saturated with all the bullshit, dude. So I think the success of Spider-Man is really case in point that the Disney Plus stuff is bad, and it's like it's not good. Like, get it out of town, you know. But anyway, that's a topic we're going to get into a little bit later. Oh, from Feige's perspective, claiming he has no say in the cancellation. Yeah, I mean, I think Feige, I've often said this about Kevin. I think he's way smarter than he leads on. And actually, one of the things we're going to talk about today with regards to the She-Hulk stuff, I think is a great example of that. Because the amount that Kevin did not say, and yet the way he communicated through action, to me is like, I think I see someone that figured something out, you know, but we'll get there. Josh, my member chat. Oh my God. Oh wait, here we go. Wait, what? What the hell? It says Warhammer is peak. Once Heather arrived, the God Emperor stepped aside and said, "Your throne, my queen." Nerdvengers bound. Heather reigns 35 months. Jesus. Jimmy Rabbit says, are there any love stories, love interest in Warhammer? If not, do you think they'll force one into live action? No, there are love stories. So the Eisenhorn book actually has a really good love story. And like, it's one of those things where the main character is very reluctant to admit it. And like, eventually it kind of comes out, but it's not like there's a happy ending there or anything. But yeah, no, he definitely falls in love with, Beckwin, actually, I believe the original Beckwin. And there's some stuff going on there and some tension there. Yeah, and then there's some other stuff, but yeah, it's not a super big focus of the universe, but there's like a lot of brotherly love. There's a lot of that like Band of Brothers energy. There's a lot of you know, people wanting to protect their families and, you know, people wanting to battle for their world or against the Xenos. Yeah, you can find all kind of different flavors of it. Some Space Marine chapters more than others have a connection to their actual family. There's some that actually go visit their actual family, even after becoming a full-on Marine. So yeah, it's like a, you know, different strokes, different folks kind of thing. CGM Show says Wonder Man got hella Emmy nominations, but right now it doesn't matter how good it is if nobody's watching. It's actually not. I mean, it is that, but it's not even that. You don't even have to make it that, because I'll tell you this, like, I thought Agatha was incredible, and I think Marvel as a brand would have been better off if they canceled the show. And I know that's like, some people are like, wait, what do you mean? Dude, it doesn't matter what you think. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you the facts. Like, even good shows. Have you ever heard of this expression? Have you ever heard of too much of a good thing? Have you ever heard the expression that too much of a good thing is a bad thing? So it's not even that the shows were all bad, although a lot of them were bad. I think they were actually bad in specific ways that caused a lot of fatigue. But it's not even that, dude. It's literally not even that. It's too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. And, put another way, and I thought Tom Rothman covered this very well earlier in the year. He said there has to be a level of scarcity. And when he was talking specifically about Marvel Studios, he made that point where he said, yeah, I think they had a mandate, and I think that they were overexposed, and I think there's a lot of value in scarcity. And it's like, yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I think that's totally right. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And at the end of the day, you just got to pick your spots a little bit better. I'm not saying they should get completely away from live action television, but I'll tell you this. If they got completely away from live action television, I wouldn't give a fuck, dude. I wouldn't care at all. Like, the literally only show worth your time is Loki. The only show worth your time is Loki. That's my opinion, But I sat there and watched them all, man. I sat there and watched them all. I was here for the highs. I was here for the lows. So, yeah, no. Andrew Burton says, any word on when Endgame Encore tickets will go on sale? Maybe with the public trailer release, Nerd Avengers for Life. Yeah, so that's actually going to be, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but it looks like D23, which, thank you. And as a reminder, you did not watch them all. I watched them all until I decided I would not watch any more of them. Is that fair, Adam? Is that fair? Is that good enough for you? Guys, just so you know, next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. No, but it's also D23. D23. And man, oh man, it's looking like, for whatever reason, Disney's going to go even bigger than they did at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to talk about this later on in detail because it's on my notes. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not that pumped about it. Like, I'm pumped that we're gonna have a really good time next Friday. But, like, what? Oh, it's not next Friday? Huh? I thought it was next Friday. Is it 2 Fridays? Adam! Look, the point is this. They're apparently going really hard for D23, like way harder than they did for San Diego Comic-Con, and I don't like that. I want San Diego Comic-Con to be the biggest event. I want San Diego Comic-Con to get all of the announcements, but I guess I don't get to make that call. So technically next Friday night, man, get ready. We might have a really, really big stream next weekend, but isn't the Marvel thing Friday night? Isn't the Marvel thing Friday night? All right, it appears we're going to have to do a little bit of looking into this. It is Friday. SDCC will go the way of E3. I hope not. Next Friday. Okay. Friday. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Friday night, guys. I'll double check, but just look out, man. We're going to have another really big live stream. It's going to be fun. Even if it's disappointing like the San Diego stream was, the memes, my reaction, the banter, we're going to have a good ass time. So come on by next Friday night for that. Okay, should we get into some topics here? Let me get something pulled up for you guys real quick here. Dun, I guess I can just pull it up like this, can't I? Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll just pull it up like this. All right, you guys ready to get into these topics? We got a few topics, and then we'll do a whiteboard stream, just a little segment at the end of the stream, really, okay? Everybody ready? Everybody ready? Bueller? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? Bueller? No, I'm not ready. Well, do what you got to do, man. I told you to go before we left. You had every opportunity to go before we left the house. All right, so first topic of the day. It's pretty big news. It's Warhammer. That's right. We're doing the Warhammer segment. Shut your mouth and listen up. Now, look, man. I've been trying to explain to you freaking buttholes that Warhammer's the future. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. It's so cool. And we have been getting some updates about Henry Cavill's Warhammer universe over the last couple of days. Well, guess what? The man himself, Henry Cavill, has given us an official update and also this cool animation with music. Shut your mouth. Okay, so after 4 years, that's all we got, so we better run it back. That's a good 10 seconds or whatever it is. Okay, so let's actually look at what he said, though, because there are some interesting updates here, believe it or not. So I want to give you some context here. So check it out. Henry Cavill says, some news got ahead of us last week, but we wanted to make a quick beat for the dust to settle, or wait a quick beat. Some deals to finalize, and if nothing else, now confirm some rumors. Firstly, Natalie, that's his wife actually, and I are indeed bringing Mike Flanagan on to write the Warhammer live action series. We've already been working with him to craft the creative, and we're making some considerable advances in the story. That is crazy, okay? I actually want to dissect that a little bit, but as the fans will know, it's an absolute monster to wrestle, but Mike's extraordinary talents are helping it take form wonderfully. Okay, so let's dissect that a little bit. So yes, he is confirming bringing Mike Flanagan on board, okay? Now, it's interesting here, he says, working with him to craft the creative. That's really interesting. So that means that Mike is on not just as a writer, but potentially giving notes or helping them with things like VFX, design, how certain props will look like, certain settings and things of that nature. Helping with the creative is really, really interesting. I would hope, and I wonder if maybe Flanagan is doing a lot more than just writing, but as Henry explains, even if he is just writing, this is an incredibly complicated universe to tackle. So as you guys often bring up to me whenever we have like a serious conversation about Warhammer, it's like, yo, this shit's like really complicated. Like, how are you going to bring normies into this world? Where do you go in the timeline? It's 60 million years of lore, all kinds of different factions and characters over thousands and thousands of years, and just so much, you know, like the main lore thing happens 10,000 years before the current setting. Like, how do you juggle all of that? So it's a monster, but Mike's extraordinary talents are helping it take form wonderfully. Now, another thing that I'll say is there are other writers involved other than Mike, and I'm pretty damn sure that something like a show Bible was created using actual Black Library writers, particularly Aaron Dembski-Bowden is what I heard, was involved in helping Henry sort of craft this thing so that it is completely aligned with the lore of Black Library, which is kind of interesting because Warhammer itself, and I hope this doesn't like become a thing. I hope Games Workshop just like gets over it and starts being a little bit more appreciative of what's actually going on. But Games Workshop is not actually sharing, like, they didn't share like Cavill's thing on their main social medias or anything. They don't seem to be actually doing much to promote the thing, although technically they spoiled the Mike Flanagan thing. The CEO spoiled that before Cavill did. And then it's weird where Cavill says that news got ahead of them. So you can kind of sense there's a little bit of tension between Games Workshop and Cavill and his producing partners. I've heard a little bit more about that I can't actually talk about. I'm hoping that it all will just go Henry's way. But yeah, I guess I would say if anybody from Games Workshop is watching, stop being such a pussy and learn to play nice with Henry, because he's the man. He's going to figure it out. Okay, so let's keep going here. They brought United Artists into the fold. They have a deep wellspring of experience and talent. It was an easy decision to partner with them. So they're the partners on producing, and he did work with them on Highlander. Now, there's another little thing. I'll make this quick. I know some of you guys are like, oh, fucking Warhammer. Yeah, fucking cry about it, okay? I got 5 to 10 more minutes on this segment. Shut your mouth. But look, all this really does to me is prove my theory that a lot of the work Henry's been doing recently is actually all to scout for Warhammer. I actually literally believe that. Like, I think the reason he's working with Chad Stahelski is he wants to scout Chad for Warhammer. He wants to scout Russell Crowe for Warhammer. He's doing all these other movies. He's working with these new people. He's literally just doing this all for Warhammer, which you gotta recognize the level of tism and neurodivergence that usually comes with Warhammer fans. This surprises no Warhammer fans. We know exactly what he's doing. It's amazing. A couple other things here. So working closely with Dave Wilson, John Orloff, and Blur Studios on the newest secret level animation, which will devote a whole season to Warhammer 40K, specifically the Death Watch. My God. Dave has proven to be a master at his craft, and he's the lead on the project. We are supporting his titanic efforts and helping things line up with the overall universe plan. Okay, that's actually a super big deal. So shut your mouth when you're talking to me and listen up. The Blur episode for the secret level anthology is by far the most popular episode that they had. And honestly, it's one of the most accessible, fun pieces of Warhammer content that's out there. And being on Amazon Prime is like, it's just so easy. Like, people are like, yo, what is there, like animations or whatever? I always say, watch the secret level episode. It's very accessible. It's just cool. It's free if you got Amazon Prime Video, which basically everybody has. And so I really admire, like, not to just totally glaze all over Cavill, but that's what we're gonna fucking do. I really appreciate and recognize the brilliance of Henry to see how popular that episode was, go directly to them, and not just get them to do more animations, but get it to align in his universe. Very important. He says he's lead on a project where we're supporting his titanic efforts and helping things line up with the overall universal plan. So guys, that is literally him saying, we identified this guy that made this kick-ass piece of Warhammer content. We are leaning into that. He's going to do a whole season that will line up with my Warhammer cinematic universe. So it's already better than James Gunn's DCU. Don't you understand what I'm saying to you? So that's awesome. Death Watch is perfect. Here's, you know what? I won't even go too deep on that. I will just say we're going to talk even more about that tonight on the Warhammer Wednesday stream. So if you're one of those people that's actually excited about Warhammer or curious, come on by tonight. I will go more into that because I have some thoughts about how Death Watch will set up things that he wants to do in his live action series. But that's neither here nor there for now, okay? And then this is really cool. So he says, importantly, some of you have been asking if I will star as the lead role in the live-action TV series. Rest assured, I most certainly will. Who that character is, however, shall remain a secret for now. Amazing. As a combined force, and with the good folks at Games Workshop, we are all working tirelessly to bring you the best, most Warhammer universe that you could possibly imagine. And that is fucking awesome. So it's actually really great to get a update from Henry himself. Real talk, it did start to seem like things might be going a bad way. There was just no real updates. I mean, I was hearing a little bit here and a little bit there. We found out what VFX studio is going to be helping them out. We heard rumors about Brad Pitt. We had the rumors about Mike Flanagan, etc. So this all seems really, really cool. Now, let's talk about Cavill's character a little bit. This is the greatest mystery of the show. And we definitely don't know. So I don't want to suggest that I absolutely know who he's playing. But I will tell you, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm pretty good at reading the tea leaves. I got pretty good sources. You know, I'm pretty good internet detective. You know, when I push my neurodivergence to a task, crazy things happen. So I'll just tell you the quick version of who I think he's playing, why I think he's playing that character, and we will go super deep on that tonight on the Warhammer Wednesday stream. So I think he's playing a character known as Constantine Valdor. Now, why do I think that? Well, number one, because Henry is a Custodes player, so he plays the Adeptus Custodes, which, by the way, look, check out this cool Custodes thing I got. I got this when I was in Pittsburgh over the weekend. It's so cool. Little Custodes thing. So he plays Adeptus Custodes, the bodyguards of the Emperor. But not only that, he actually was asked on camera years ago who he would play. And everybody suggested Eisenhorn, which is kind of crazy. He literally looks a lot like Eisenhorn, so I could see why people would see that. I could see why people think he'd be Titus, which is maybe the other choice. God, I mean, I guess it would be all right if he was Titus, but fuck that shit. Okay, so anyway, Cavill says on camera, well, Eisenhorn's cool, but to be a mere Inquisitor, when there's Primarchs right there, when there's the Captain General, he says very specifically the Captain General, who Warhammer fans will know as Constantine Valdor, like him saying that to me was kind of a tell, okay? He loves the Custodes. Valdor is the most interesting character in there, okay? Now, there's two more reasons why I think he's playing Valdor. Number one, there is a massive Warhammer novel that has been delayed. It is the final book in the Beckwin series. I think it's called like Ultimatum or some shit. I forget what it's called. But that story is taking place after a massive reveal in the previous book, which reveals the identity of a mysterious character known as the King in Yellow to actually be Constantine Valdor. And the reason why this is interesting is because when that author was asked, this Dan Abnett, when he was asked about the delay for that book, he literally said it had to do with the live action show. He said they delayed the book because there's going to be massive changes to the lore, and they want to make sure that the live action show is created in a way that it doesn't contradict this big coming change. Okay? Now, he's gone very silent about that now. He won't talk about it now because I think people on the internet figured that out as well. So that's another reason. Here's the last and final reason. One of the very first, and I can maybe find it on his Instagram, one of the very first, no, I won't be able to. One of the very first videos that he, well, there. Oh, man. Oh, it's just so badass. Oh, dude, the music's just so good. One of the first images that Cavill ever posted with regards to the Warhammer official announcement was a version of the Aquila, which is that eagle that you see on all the Imperial shit, right? It's a version of the Aquila, but it was a version we had never seen before because one of the eagles was like, looked all corrupted or like it had been wounded or something like that. It was weird, okay? That same symbol pops up on a collector's version of an actual Warhammer novel, which was an epilogue to the Horus Heresy and the beginning of an era known as the Scouring, okay? So in that era, the Scouring, this character, Constantine Valdor, is still active in the setting. This would technically be before he vanishes from the setting and then later pops up as the King in Yellow. So it is possible. I don't even know how they would do this because, like, that time period is so weird and so unmined. I don't know how he would be able to star as Valdor, per se. But those are the reasons I think he would play Constantine Valdor. And man, I'll just say this: if he's really playing Valdor, and they really are doing a show where he's going to star as Valdor during the Scouring, then like, dude, this shit's about to be way crazier than people think. Because doing like a Space Marine show, or doing like a little like a show over here, or like this, that, second, and the third, like, that's relatively simple. Even an Eisenhorn show would be relatively simple. Doing a show set in the Scouring is ridiculously complicated. Trying to explain Valdor is ridiculously complicated. So if they're really doing that, they're ballsy as hell. They're ballsy as hell. So anyway, there you have it, chat. The official updates by Henry Cavill himself. What do you think? Are you all excited? Are you all now into Warhammer? What, I'll see what you guys are saying for a second. Leon, the movie fan, says, I love Warhammer now. Appreciate you, bud. Thanks. Goonhammer, Heather Awakens. My God. My God. Henry Cavill, more like Heather Cavill. Am I right? Holy shit. Gonna be the biggest clip of the day. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But hey, that's all right. I'm still here. You can't break me. Wait, what? Josh, there were female Space Marines in 92 Epic 40K. No, there weren't. And no, there never will be. And there's not even female custodies. I decide. Inject the Warhammer into my eyeballs, please. Hell yeah. Bubba Fett. Some of us have sort of woken up and smelled the coffee, so to speak. You've convinced me to spend 10K on Warhammer now. Thank you, Josh. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I hope you get a good army or whatever you get with that. Chat is basically on Battle of Armageddon every time we talk about it. Nice. I will be seated, unfortunately. What? It's not going to be unfortunate. It's going to change your fucking life, dog. It's going to change your life. Okay. Any other questions, comments? I know. I yapped about Warhammer. Sorry, chap. But it's actually really, really cool. And here's the thing. Like a lot of us that have actually been in fandoms for a long, long time. Like I talked to Matt, Nerd of the Rings, about this a lot. A lot of us that have been in the game, we see what's coming with Warhammer. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't my first rodeo, brother. I've been on YouTube 10 years. I've been covering pop culture for 10 years. I know what happened with Marvel. I know why it took off. I know why it fell off. I know what happened to these other studios and their things. I know why they fell off. Okay? So a lot of us that actually know what's going on, we see what's about to happen with Warhammer. You guys might not see it. But just like the Jean Grey thing, just give it a little time, and I'm gonna be looking real good, just like I did with the Sadie Sink thing. So you just wait, chat. You just wait. Nuck and Fut says, I'm glad the Warhammer show is taking a while. Gives me time to read the entire heresy. I'm about halfway through. Holy shit, man! Let me tell you. Read Horus Rising. No, I definitely got to read Horus Rising. That's wild. So you've been reading crazy. That's like 30 bucks. That's like 20 to 30 bucks, dude. Justin says 4 years and that's all y'all get. 64 months and you can't even propagate a Warhammer to make it cool. Does Warhammer have nukes? James has a script at least. Not bad. Yeah, they do have nukes. And also, my favorite Primarch, the Lion, he's definitely pretty quick to nuke a planet. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. He's, they call him like Captain Genocide or something like that. I don't call him that. I call it getting shit done. You know what I mean? But yeah, essentially, yeah. All right, let me catch up on a couple of these other chats here, and then we'll get into the Marvel segments. Chase B24 says with a 5 spot, 2 questions. When will Marvel reveal the X-Men cast and release date? And what's your thoughts on Feige considering Snyder? Number one, him considering Snyder just proves that he's the GOAT of producers. He totally understands what the people want and desire. Zack Snyder in the MCU. Let's fucking go. And then the first question is, when will the cast be revealed and the date? Probably at D23, brother. Probably at D23. David says, nap time. Hashtag Heather overboard hammer. My God. How do you guys come up with this shit? How do you guys even come up with this shit? Mr. Penguin with the 10 spot says, I'm halfway through the 9th Jedi. It's not as peak as I thought it would be, but it's not bad either. I would be more interested in exploring the world with lore they are building is interesting. Mr. Penguin, thank you for the $10 holla, man. But I am sorry, brother. We do not give a fuck about the 9th Jedi over here. All my homies hate the 9th Jedi. No, we don't actually hate the 9th Jedi. But it's like, I knew it was coming out. I'm actually surprised I got a question about it. I'm surprised you put a $10 super chat in about it. But like, bro, Star Wars is becoming that band that you see it is at Six Flags and you still don't go to that side of the park to watch them perform. Okay? Like I'm running out of like ways to explain how bad it is. It's totally cooked. You know what I mean? It's totally cooked. But with all that being said, I'm glad you enjoyed The Ninth Jedi. You definitely shouldn't question your life choices and feel bad about it and also feel like you can't let it go. And you definitely shouldn't just think to yourself that I'd probably have way more fun if I started getting into Warhammer. But, you know. Female do not care about Warhammer. Well, first of all, who gives a shit about that? Second of all, that's not even true. I know all sorts of ladies that play Warhammer, and the Warhammer cosplayers, they're pretty hot. They're pretty hot. No, it's not my falling out with Theory. If you didn't notice, I was super mad about Star Wars, even when I was doing the show with Theory. And in fact, weren't those 4 episodes basically like, fuck Star Wars, like real hardcore? It doesn't have anything to do with that. I didn't even watch The Ninth Jedi. See, this guy's starting to learn. War of the Hammers sounds like Thor. What? Warhammer is literally what you just described. No one gives a fuck about Warhammer 40K. God damn it, Brother Boom! That's not true! That's not true! Listen, Linda, this goddamn company's worth over $5 billion, okay? It's never been bigger. Okay, outside of this little Marvel bubble, and look, I get it. I love Marvel too, and it's so cool. We're back. Marvel's actually doing fun shit, and Marvel will probably outpace Warhammer. Let's be real; it's more, accessible or whatever. Especially if they get their shit together with the X-Men. But I'm telling you, people really fucks with Warhammer, dude. People are excited to make this fucking show. You think Amazon ponied up all this fucking money and was like, hey, Henry Cavill, you should do this, and this, this company's worth $5 billion. Let's approach this IP and produce it. You think they all get on board because they're like, yeah, nobody gives a shit about that? Come on. Come on. It's never been bigger, but they can't get a show or a movie off the ground. That's just because it's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you for that comment without you even asking me, because what you don't understand is that's just Warhammer. Okay. I played a Warhammer game last night. You know how long it took? 4.5 hours, and we didn't finish the game. Okay. Warhammer is like a time dilation thing. When you get into Warhammer, you're going to start to realize shit's going to take forever. Your games are going to be 5 to 6 hours. You're not even going to be able to play for a year because you're going to have to build shit and paint it. The show taking that long is just because it's Warhammer. You know what I'm saying? Would you want TikTok brain rot Gen Z to play 5-hour games? You want TikTok brain rot Gen Z? Yeah, because that actually would help reset their dopamine. They'd be a little bit less schizo and freaking out. And also too, it doesn't really feel like 5 hours. It feels like probably 3. All right. Well, anyways, guys, now who's dragging the show out? Now who's dragging the Warhammer segment out? Is it me or you? It's you. Yeah, I was gonna move right into the Marvel stuff. Now you got any more Warhammer questions? I didn't expect you to be so interested. Yeah. Yeah, now who's messing up the stream? Huh? 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 All right, let's talk about... Okay, we got to get into a controversial topic, actually, for reals now. Okay? Some of you are not going to like this. Okay? Some of you, of the more political beliefs might not like this, but I don't care. It has to be said. All right, so we've got to talk about some crazy reveals about She-Hulk, and the reason this matters is because I think it paints the best picture yet as far as what actually happened, what Kevin was actually dealing with, why he probably doesn't give a fuck anymore. We got to go through this. We got to go through this all. Okay, so this, I saw this pop up, and maybe you guys did too. This, oh, let me resize this for you. So this comes from Daniel Friedman, who's an author and an insider, knows a lot about Hollywood interworkings here. And he was breaking down something that happened with She-Hulk. So I want to talk, because there's some new reveals here. By the way, I reached out to some people. This shit is real. The head writer and showrunner of She-Hulk was Jessica Gao. She was best known for creator and writer on the Pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty. During the production of that episode, Rick and Morty showrunner Dan Harmon cast Susan Sarandon as the family's therapist, a character Gao had named Dr. Wong in the script. Gao crashed out over the casting of a white actor for this part. In 2018, this was a major transgression and was an act of contrition. Harmon did a podcast with Gao called Whiting Wongs, which is 40 hours of him apologizing and learning about racism. Jesus Christ. The writer credit on Pickle Rick episode and this podcast raised Gao's profile enough for her to land a showrunner gig on Marvel's Disney Plus She-Hulk show, but the production was extremely troubled. In addition to not staffing lawyers or legal drama writers on the show who could deliver an Ally McBeal in the MCU pitch, the She-Hulk show required, as described by Gao in interviews, an extraordinary level of direct personal involvement and micromanagement from Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige. Gao described her relationship with Feige as supportive and collaborative, but she also described him routinely intervening to reshape the show in the wake of catastrophic test audiences' responses. Yeah, like the audience that saw the whole show. In the final episode, She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall of her show, climbs through Disney's UI, and confronts a robot named Kevin. That has been controlling her life. Feige allowed this, but Gao wanted to put a baseball cap on the robot like the one Feige wears, and that was a bridge too far for him. According to an interview Gao gave to the Hollywood Reporter, she threatened to resign if the robot could not wear the hat, and Feige immediately accepted her resignation. A visual designer managed to mediate the dispute by incorporating a hat-like element into the robot's design. The show was canceled after the first season. The cast has been released. None of its events have been referenced in other Marvel productions, and She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany, is not in Doomsday. Gao has no IMDb credits since She-Hulk was canceled in 2022. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, and it is a little bit of a controversial topic here, okay? But we heard a lot. I mean, I personally heard this. I don't think a lot of my contemporaries have the balls to talk about this, frankly. I don't even blame them, because it will come with such backlash, and it's not like, if you want to have like a sort of super big mass appeal channel, if you want to get invited to the premieres and get, you know, Marvel Studios employees to retweet you or whatever silly shit you care about, you can't say real ass shit like I'm about to say. But I've actually said this before. And in fact, I did this really big video on the main channel where I broke down the truth of why Phase 4 and 5 fell off. It's a big video. It's really, really good. It goes into a lot of the details. But one of the things that I talk about that nobody else wants to talk about is the fact that what really happened was Kevin and his lieutenants literally decide to open up the golden gates of Marvel Studios to more diverse voices on purpose, literally in the vein of Stan Lee and his thoughts of diversity and all these sort of things. That was absolutely something that Marvel Studios did. And Kevin did it. Why? Because he actually cared and he wanted to bring diverse voices in. He absolutely thought he was doing the right thing and this was the right thing to do. But unfortunately, what happened was you brought in a lot of people that actually were assholes or cunts. And then you're in this really awkward situation, which he got into with Gao, which he got into with Chloe Zhao, which he got into with what's her tits that directed the Marvels and then bailed for another movie. He's gotten into these beefs with these people many different times behind the scenes. And at first, he was letting them win. Classically, Chloe Zhao had this huge argument with Kevin. And from what I understand, Chloe wins that. And that's probably why the third act of Eternals is dog shit, okay? And what happened was Kevin found himself in this really weird position where he basically like opens up the gates, brings in these diverse writers, there's diverse creators, you know, goes with all of these kind of diverse things. And then when he goes to just do his job as the producer, they flipped it on him, just like she tried to do to Dan Harmon. Dan the sucker, so he went for it. Flipping on him and say, oh, no, you actually are white man bad at the top, and now you're being racist or problematic when you're trying to do your fucking job, which is to say adjust the content so it's more marketable to mass appeal audiences, okay? I hope you're following what I'm saying here. So literally, guys, I heard this so many different times in so many different ways. Kevin felt as though he couldn't actually assert himself the same way he did in the Infinity Saga because these were now diverse voices, and maybe some of these people were actually willing to leak to the press or get really vocal about white guy bad telling me what to do on my She-Hulk show, kind of a shit. And it did kind of paralyze him for a little bit. And I think it did create situations where, just like this, we heard a lot about this from other folks. Kevin doesn't really talk about it. And he's chill, but also you can kind of see in his actions what this means. Again, Gal ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, then She-Hulk might be barely in some of these movies, but really, I think you're going to see a kind of different She-Hulk. And at the end of the day, man, this is actually important because, like, literally what happened was, under the guise of wanting to share and wanting to be inclusive, you bring in all of these people that, yeah, maybe they do check a box and maybe they are diverse in some way and maybe you didn't have that, but you let a lot of people in that I think weren't qualified and were also like kind of big fucking assholes. And the worst thing about like an asshole that uses like woke foo or like the wokest shit to defend themselves is like they seem so virtuous and they can sell their actions as virtuous to a bunch of idiots on social media when in fact they're actually just a fucking asshole. And they use the justification of the social moment, of the political debate, the tension of that moment to justify being an asshole. Like, you can be an asshole to certain groups, you can be an asshole in certain situations because you're on the right side of the political spectrum, technically the left, right? And this created all sorts of problems. By the way, this didn't just happen to Marvel Studios. This happened across Hollywood. But one of the only people with the wherewithal to actually write that ship, in my opinion, has been Kevin Feige. I'm reminded of something that Chris Gore reported over a year ago, where he essentially said, to albeit a crowd much more willing to hear it, right? But Chris essentially said that he had heard from very good sources that Kevin told all the executives, basically, we tried. We're not going to do that anymore. And what I mean is this inclusive, like, bring everybody in, happy-go-lucky, I can't manage you because it's problematic situation. From what I understand, he's one of the few people in Hollywood that finally saw it for what it absolutely 1,000% was. And I think the sheer amount of these people that he had to encounter probably like strongly reinforced his position on this. But I think it explains some of the changes that are coming to Marvel Studios. So I wanted to explain this because to this day, there are people that defend She-Hulk or defend a lot of the Phase 4 stuff, don't understand what was actually happening. And I think a lot of other people on the right or the anti-woke crowd, I don't think they fully realize the position that Feige was in and how he navigated through it to where we are at now. So again, I know that's like, that's somewhat of a controversial topic. People are going to feel butthurt about it in certain ways or whatnot, but that's real. This really happened. These people really sucked ass, and they used identity politics to justify them being a disruptive cunt. And nobody else will report on this. Well, nobody that, I think is a little even-handed is going to report on this, right? So just wanted to put that out there. Chat, what do you think? Chat! What do you think? Course correction. Indeed, sir. I'm going to be real. This has nothing to do with diverse actors. What happened with Sam Raimi? I don't understand what that means, brother. Guys, trust me. I've seen... Wait, what? Wait. I lost it. No! Okay, guys. Why is this? Guys, trust me, I've seen Feige in person, and he walks like a boss. Okay. Sounds good. Looking at this with magnifying glass, directors in Hollywood are hard to work with regardless of diversity. No, you're like, dude, I'm 10 toes down on this shit. Like, I'm telling you. It's not to say that diversity is wrong. If that's what you think I'm saying, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what happened was under the guise of wanting more diversity, they were not discerning enough with the people they brought in. Jessica Gal is an asshole, not because she's a lady or because she's Asian. She's an asshole. That's why she's an asshole. And then she uses the fact that she's a lady and of the Asian community to justify being a disruptive asshole. That's what I'm saying. And I'm 10 toes down on that. That is true from my perspective. Sheem says, yo, the way you broke that down, how people utilize the political and racial climate to be an asshole because they are in the society right side. Take this 10, bro. Great explanation. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing for people to hear, and certain people get very sensitive about it. But luckily, I'm getting older and older, and I just don't have many fucks to give anymore. I have to be honest. And I also think nobody, like Marvel, cannot actually defend themselves in this position in the correct way. You know what I mean? Like, they can't come out and say that shit, but I can, and I will. Remember the new Warriors, Snowflakes, and Safe Space. Oh, wait, it got canceled before it even started. Yeah, I mean, that's like, that was that shit on steroids. Like, that was like a real fucking crazy moment. But I really do think that there's something to learn from this. I think Marvel's already learned the lesson, to be honest. OMGC89 says, when you bring diversity for diversity's sake, you have people who need to attach their agendas to a project and have nothing to do with how they feel. I don't actually agree with that. I understand the point you're trying to make, but I don't think, like, I guess what I would say is this. I think you can do diversity for diversity's sake and still have it be 4-quadrant, accessible, mass appeal entertainment that isn't heavy-handed or totally absurd. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the right creator can do that. I would also argue that if you look at Spider-Man, and you look at the demos of Spider-Man, we kind of talked about this on Monday, but like the Black community came out crazy heavy for Spider-Man, and it's not as though it was Miles Morales' Spider-Man. You know, Blade's not in this movie. It's Punisher, it's Hulk, Jean Grey, kind of, you know, that's not really advertised, and then Spider-Man. So like, the Black community like showed up, bro, and it's not a diverse movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, some of the shit is just got twisted up. A lot of people with the right intentions and maybe even the right belief system, they just don't actually have a good enough perspective on what people are, in my opinion, to have navigated this correctly. But that's just my opinion. Diversity didn't work here due to folks involved. Nothing else to be said. Asian director on Spider-Man. Are you telling me you think that's why the Black community showed up, brother? Because of the Asian director? Is that what you're trying to say to me? I just want to be clear. Is that what you're trying to say, or are you in your feelings? I'm an actor. Can use diversity to extort the president of Marvel, then you don't have a studio anymore. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Of course. But see, the problem is, like, you just need to be reasonable. You just need to be logical about this shit, you know? So, yeah. It's a difficult subject for people, but at the end of the day, what Marvel needs to do, as the adults in the room, is look past the conversation to the logic. And from what I understand, they're absolutely doing that. And that's why you might be seeing some things that seem to be going away from that. And frankly, like, Kevin's getting all this shit, right? Like, Kevin's getting all this shit. But at the end of the day, did they not just try it? And in fact, did they not give maybe more resources, more airtime, more possibility to more diverse creators than any other studio has in the last 20 years? Yeah, that's what it is. It's about vetting people and bringing on the right creatives. Destin is an all-around great creative choice. And look what we got with Brand New Day. You just have to cultivate a smaller circle of collaborators. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And it's not that the diversity is like the enemy. Diversity is not the enemy. What I'm telling you is there are people that are going to claim to be doing the things for diversity that actually are the enemy. They are literally the enemy. They're vile, like self-loathing, like they hate life. You know what I mean? They just want to deconstruct everything. These are not the people you want to be cooking your shit. You know, period. So that's what it is. That's the take. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. But that's okay too. All right. Let's get into some other fun stuff. We'll actually get into fun topics now. I knew that one was going to be tough for some of you guys. You know, I know. You're sensitive. It's okay. I touched a nerve. Listen, here's the truth, okay? I'll just tell it to you like this. I say all kinds of offensive shit. And so if you're offended by something I say, it's just your time to be offended. Period. Okay? So be offended. Be offended. I do not care. And also too, it really is like that. It's like if I'm a guy that comes out and says all sorts of offensive stuff, if I'm super flagrant all the time, some of that stuff you're going to laugh at, depending on your position on certain things. Some of that stuff you're not going to laugh at. So if you're offended, it's just your time to be offended, and it is what it is. In the name of diversity. All right, let's talk about D23 though. Let me get this shit pulled up for you. Isn't that crazy, though? I think it's pretty crazy. I think it's pretty wild. I don't know if I believe this shit. Man, sometimes it's hard to get through these fake scoopers and shit. Here's the D23 schedule and dates. They don't even have the dates right. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let me see if I can find it on the Reddit. Let me see. Avengers Endgame trailer later this month from Cryptic. Okay. Ooh, yeah. So that's kind of interesting too, but that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. Sorry, just give me one more second. I really thought, okay, here we go. Here it is. Boom, shakalaka. Thank God. I was like, was that a fake scoop? But it's not. All right, we need to talk about D23 and some massive announcement that it looks like Marvel Studios is going to be making next Friday night. This initially began being reported by Daniel RPK, which I think is a pretty big deal. Daniel's usually really good with this kind of stuff. And in fact, we kind of owe Daniel an apology because the morning of San Diego Comic-Con, he basically came out and said, don't expect much from the San Diego Comic-Con presentation. And basically all of us were like, yeah, right. Fuck you, Daniel. You don't know nothing, dude. It's going to be dope. It's going to be amazing. Well, it turns out he was correct. We definitely should not have anticipated all that much. And he also got the Ryan Gosling thing correct way before anybody else, too. So this is kind of interesting. So he says here, Marvel Studios is reportedly rushing to finalize casting deals for the X-Men movie in time for an official announcement at D23. Now, let's just begin by saying I don't like this. I mean, I like that we're going to get it, but I wanted this at San Diego Comic-Con. I think a lot of other people did too. Sure, it would have potentially spoiled the Sadie Sink thing, And I guess that matters. But yeah, a lot of us expected the X-Men thing to go down at San Diego Comic-Con. I thought it wouldn't really make all that much sense. I felt like focus on Doomsday and all that sort of stuff. But if they are going to start promoting X-Men stuff, do it at San Diego. So we're living in this weird world where it seems like D23 might get just as much juice, if not more juice, than San Diego Comic-Con. I don't love it, but it is what it is. Okay, so just got to get that off my chest. The other thing that's crazy here is rushing to finalize casting deals just in time for an official announcement at D23. That's juicy, man. So that's crazy. That could be why we're getting all these other things. Right? Like, that's why Jeff's scooping all this sort of stuff. That's why Daniel's saying all this stuff. Shine's saying all this stuff. We had the stuff with Adam Driver, man. Like, there's a lot going on in X-Men casting news, as we talked about a bit on Monday and other times as well. Absolutely wild. So it tracks, kind of makes all of that stuff make more sense. And so it's very possible we're looking at an actual full cast or part of the cast announced at D23 for the X-Men movie. If that happens, they're probably going to bring Sadie Sink out, and she'll probably be like the main one they bring out, and they'll say some shit like, technically Spider-Man's still in theaters or something, right? And maybe Kevin will explain a little bit more about that on the panel or whatnot, but I would imagine she'll come out. You would imagine after that, you get Cyclops, right? Really hope it's not Cooper Hoffman, but Daniel does report that Cooper Hoffman is legitimately in talks for Cyclops. I can't fucking believe it. But who knows? You know, a lot of people bring up the Chris Pratt thing with Star-Lord. I think that's fair. You know, let him cook, but really hope not. So, yeah, I think we get a Cyclops. I think we get a Professor X. I think we get a Magneto. Now, here's the thing. We haven't heard shit about Magneto. You know? Like, Driver? But then that was squashed pretty quick. Like, he was never out for Magneto, at least I don't think. The only other thing we heard was Daniel Day-Lewis. Has Jeff scooped any Magneto stuff? I don't think so. And the reason why is because it really feels like Magneto's probably not in this movie, right? So we'll talk more about like the actual X-Men plan. I want to do a whole whiteboard segment where we get into that in a little bit here, right? But seems like maybe no Magneto here, which maybe gives them some leeway. Maybe that's being cast somewhat separately or whatnot, but that's kind of interesting. You'd have to imagine some of these other names like the Rogue, the Beast, you know, some of these other names probably accurate insofar as they're in talks and maybe trying to lock this up pretty quickly. So I think all of that makes sense. Now, the other thing that's interesting is Mr. Sinister and the possibility of the Rockpocalypse, okay? Now, if you don't know what the Rockpocalypse is, where have you been? Living under a rock? The Rockpocalypse is basically the idea that The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, could be playing Apocalypse in the MCU. Some people actually fucking hate that, by the way. I think it's incredible. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think it's wonderful casting. So I'm really hoping that that's true. That would really excite me, dude. Like, I really think Rock would be great as Apocalypse. And imagine next Friday night, they bring out the whole young cast or whatever, and then they like cut to like a spotlight in the back of the room. And Dwayne comes out and he's like, I see all these new X-Men. And it looks like a bunch of baby back bitches. And he starts cutting a promo. And as he walks forward, he's actually in Apocalypse makeup or some shit like that. Like, I would love that shit. So, I don't know. Maybe we get a little Rockpocalypse next weekend. There's legitimately nobody else that's really been mentioned for Apocalypse. And I think Rock needs it. I think Marvel needs it. I think it's going to happen. So, that's what's said to be potentially announced next week if they lock all of these deals up. I will also just remind you that in 2019, when they brought Simu Liu out for Shang-Chi, he had been cast on a Tuesday. He was officially cast and signed on Tuesday. He's on stage on Saturday. So they can sign these people very late in the game. And I would imagine like it's a big priority for them to get these officially signed, at least as many of them as possible, to have a casting announcement. I definitely wonder, what do you guys think about that? Because this is coming from Dana. It feels like it's pretty good. So I'm definitely interested in what you guys think about the X-Men thing, whether it'll happen, will they do a release date or whatever, right? But the other thing that's possible is we might see the Avengers Endgame re-release trailer. which was shown only to the people in Comic-Con, and there's no tickets for sale for that thing, right? So usually if you're going to release a trailer online, you want it to be for something to make a big impact. I think you probably get that Avengers Endgame Encore trailer, and I would imagine they'll combine that with when the tickets go on sale for it. And then maybe some people are saying it. Daniel's not said it. Nobody like really reliable has said it, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you actually got that second Doomsday trailer. Okay. Again, I don't love it. Probably should have just released it at Comic-Con, but I won't be mad if they release it on Friday. I almost feel like you'd want, though, to release it Friday morning and have the ticket sales like officially go on. So maybe this doesn't get released publicly. This is like the least certain aspect of the presentation. But I wanted to mention it because if it happens and you get a full X-Men cast reveal, you get an actual online release of the Avengers Endgame Encore movie release, and then maybe ticket sales for that. And then you also get the Doomsday trailer. I mean, they just kicked the shit out of San Diego Comic-Con, dude. Like, they just kicked the absolute living shit out of San Diego Comic-Con. And there's a possibility they announce even more stuff. It's a possibility that they show you some Vision Quest. That trailer's actually legitimate. And y'all know we love those Disney Plus Marvel shows. But no, this one's actually supposed to be pretty good. So, yeah, you probably get something like that. Maybe some other announcements as well. But, dude, kind of can't believe it. But it seems like D23 might eclipse San Diego Comic-Con. I think that's partially because Comic-Con was late and crunched for time, and it kind of sucked. And also because D23 might actually give us X-Men and actually release the trailers online. So I think we in chat will have a much better time at D23. So that's next Friday night. If you didn't know, chat, what do you think? What do you think, chat? Let's talk about the X-Men. What do you think about getting a full X-Men cast reveal? What do you think about that? What about Javier Bardem as Apocalypse? I really don't want Dwayne. You really think Javier Bardem would be better? I mean, so Javier Bardem has a great face for it. He's a great actor. But I don't think he has a physicality for it. Of course, you can make that work. But, like, here's what's interesting. It's like Josh Brolin's like 5'8", right? But Josh Brolin has a physicality to him. Not only is he like a chud and like a thick boy, but like, dude, he's just got a masculinity about him. And so Brolin's like 5'6", but he's able to bring something to the role that I think the other actors can kind of like feed off or whatever. Would Javier Bardem be able to do that? I'm not sure. He's got a great voice, though. Absolutely has a great voice. What? Kevin Hart and Jack Black from Jumanji? What does that even mean? Alan Ritchson needs to play Eddie Brock Venom. I would like that. I would like that. And you know what? Like, look, Alan Ritchson's such a cool guy, right? We'd love him. Game Over Jesse says Josh Brolin is 5'3". Damn, he's just getting shorter and shorter the more we talk about him. Give me my X-Men already. You want it that bad? I guess I'm torn because when the fuck are we going to see these new X-Men? I guess okay. Here's this could maybe work. This could maybe work if they talk about the new cast and they maybe connect it to Spider-Man, and then they say you'll see them in Secret Wars. That could work. That could actually work. I just think it's difficult to hype up Doomsday with the Fox X-Men and also promote your upcoming X-Men reboot. Like, doesn't that seem counterintuitive? Jerry Seinfeld is Professor X. Aren't we getting their movie in 2028? Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying it's time? Like, wouldn't next year work just as good? Secret Wars X-Men? Yeah, so Secret Wars appears to have a whole bunch of characters, man. Like, I think You know, Ryan Gosling's Ghost Rider is supposed to be in it. I would assume he's going to be like a Duke or a Baron or just like a person on Battleworld. Blade, Mahershala Ali's Blade's supposed to be in there. I think they're going to have a lot of Marvel characters in Secret Wars. You might even have some of the young X-Men hanging out with the old X-Men on Secret Wars, which could be kind of interesting. Everyone being announced like Prince T'Challa to be in Secret Wars. Wait, what do you mean? My thought is everyone being announced like Prince T'Challa to be in Secret Wars. Everyone's being announced like... Oh, right. Okay, so he's announced, and they did announce Ghost Rider. I mean, you're right. Both of them might be in Secret Wars. Is Secret Wars the new jumping? Like, are they? I guess they're trying to set a lot up in Secret Wars then, huh? Yeah. That's not a bad way to look at it. Ross says Ghost Rider should have us talking about Johnny. If people can connect with his struggles like Spider-Man, Ghost Rider can be a go. What do we think? Yeah, Johnny Blaze is a really fun character. So yeah, he's like Peter Parker with like a darker horror side of it, right? With all the Mephisto shit. So I'd like it. I'm really interested. Here's what I'll say. I'll say it like this. I hope that Starfighter's actually good. That'll make me feel a lot better about Ghost Rider. And then I hope Ghost Rider is way better than Deadpool and Wolverine. Which is like weird to say because I'm really grateful for Deadpool and Wolverine. Like I'm really glad that movie came out when it did, the way that it did. But I don't want... I want a little bit closer to Spider-Man Brand New Day with Ghost Rider. Like Ghost Rider is a really fun character. There's a lot of potential there. And yeah, man, I just think it should be given the care and be a little bit less of a thrill ride, I guess, less of a roller coaster ride. You just blew my mind with Brolin being 5'8". I thought he was like 6'3" or some shit. Yeah, no, that's my point though, is like sometimes it's the physicality is not just your height. Yeah, Brolin's got that shit. Could we get Human Torch versus Iceman? I suppose so. I don't know what you want me to say about that shit. You've been putting it in the chat for a goddamn hour straight. An hour straight of will Human Torch versus Iceman? I don't know, and frankly, I don't really care. Larry David as Magneto. That sounds amazing. That actually sounds amazing. I would love that shit. I would love that shit. All these characters make me worried about Secret Wars. This shit better be 3 to 4 hours long. Yeah, it better be long. That's for sure. You're going to need some ample length for that thing. You're absolutely going to need some ample length. Sadie Sings was announced for Secret Wars a month ago. Yeah, well, I think it was longer than that, actually. It came through the trades. She was reported to be in it, not announced. What about Iceman versus Human Torch? Oh, my God. Josh, Human Man versus Ice Torch win. Kathleen Kennedy, go lock yourself in a trunk of a car. By the time Disney pays the actor, Secret Wars will be $150 million. Yeah, you're right. But guess what? She-Hulk cost $225 million. And Jessica Gao has not worked since. If Rock is Apocalypse, then Kevin Hart will be Storm. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Oh, I'm taking a sip of coffee here. We're going to be all right. You fuckers, dude. You fuckers. You sit here and you try to trigger me. Recast She-Hulk? No. I mean, you could and make her like way more attractive, but you know, you could deal with the Tatiana mess. I think Tatiana is like attractive. You know? Did you just say She-Hulk cost $235 million to make? $225 actually, but yeah. Josh, you gonna play Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls? No, probably not, bro. Like, I'm just bad at fighting games. And I don't like I don't like doing shit I'm bad at. So I'll just get messed up. You know what I mean? Like all these like kids and these stay-at-home whatevers. Thought I was gonna whoop my ass. Female Magneto. Well, you want her to be even more vicious and murderous? You want Magneto to be even worse? No, I'm just kidding, ladies. I'm just kidding. Like, I would never be serious about that. Of course, he's going to make excuses for the short mutants. What the fuck does that mean? Just practice, bro? So now I got to do literal homework to enjoy the game? You got to hop on Helldivers for the Warhammer collab. Now, that is an idea. That is something I will absolutely do. Okay, we've gotten a little bit away from the D23 thing. In summation, D23 seems like it's going to be fucking lit, dude. Next Friday, make sure you're here. Woo! Snoo! Drop it like it's hot. It's a good song. All right, let me catch up on a couple of super chats here. I feel the same. Respin says, yeah. We got some stuff from the diversity segment. Kendall says, how did Gal's issues got placed on everyone else? No, see, you're conflating it, my friend. You're conflating it, my friend. If you look, Kendall, you and I, we've been doing this a long time. If you are confused as to my take, hit me up privately. I'll explain it all to you. But you're conflating it. You're conflating it. I'm not saying don't do diversity. What I'm saying is when they did diversity, they were not discerning enough, and they also found themselves in a position. Well, frankly, this is what I'll say. I'll say it like this. If they were as brutalistic and savage as I am, we wouldn't have had a problem, because then you just would have fired them or replaced them or whatever. But because they didn't want to look like, you know, bad, aggressive white guy, they didn't do what they should have done. Okay? That's just my opinion. I hope that makes sense. I think you're conflating what I'm saying, but it's all good. And then there's Grandmaster Choda. Says, I love you, but your take on Cooper Hoffman is god-awful. You don't know ball. Phenomenal in Long Walk. LMAO, wild. You'd rather have a look mexer like clavicular. How fucking dare you, Grandmaster Choda? But yeah, no, you're probably right. Look, I've made my case. I don't think Cooper Hoffman can act more attractive. And so therefore his acting abilities, right? Although very important, are not going to quite take us to where we need to go. You know what I mean? So, yeah, appreciate it. Ross says Ghost Rider should have us talking about Johnny. If people can connect with his struggles like Spider-Man, Ghost Rider can be the GOAT. Wait, didn't I already read that? Yeah, I think I already read that. That's fair. Yeah, thanks, bud. Post-Secret or Success is going to be the same mistake all over again. A bunch of bandwagon diverse people are going to try and take over again. Jesus Christ! You find the right people for the job. There are qualities to look for outside of identity that are pretty important. You know what I mean? So that's what you do. Nick's Tape FC says, so are we getting Johnny Starburst Iceman? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? What the fuck is wrong with you? Got it. So no Cooper because Josh can't bus to him. Nice. Well, at least you're finally understanding. You know what I mean? At least you're finally understanding. Lord Extravagant 420 says, first super chat. We locked in now. Keep being you, GOAT. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I mean, look, the bottom line is I have no choice. You know, I'm one of those people that is very much who they are to a fault. In fact, I would go as far as to say maybe a little bit more sensitivity, maybe just a tad bit of consideration for other people's feelings would not be the worst thing for me. Don't worry, it's not going to happen. But I just want to admit that Yeah. Like, thank you, but also, like, you know, that's like I can't really take credit for that. Drew Starkey is a good actor, so I don't know why people are upset about him. The name's floated around. I don't remember people getting upset about that. Are people actually upset about that? What about the Skarsgård brothers for Magneto and Professor X? I don't hate that. That's actually pretty solid. I hope we get Iceman in the next X movie. Yeah, Iceman's cool. I can't remember if there are any rumors about Bobby, actually. So I can't really remember. I remember driving home from work, listening to your Quantum Mania spoilers. We've come a long way. Dude, I hated that movie, bro. I hated that movie. They should cast me as Scotty Summers. I can handle Sadie Sink and Samara Weaving. Yeah, you and every other chud out there, right? You think I didn't say that? You think I didn't type that? You think I didn't send that to both of them, DM'd on their Instagrams accounts? My wife said it was okay. She knew they wouldn't answer. But yeah, we all feel that way. Josh, what about the Wayans brothers? Kathleen Kennedy, I got to tell you, you know, I'm starting to get this sense with a few of your messages today, just a few. That you're being a silly Sally, you know, perhaps saying things to elicit a response rather than out of, you know, pure curiosity. I'm, you know, look, far be it from me to accuse you of anything, but maybe you're just upset that you ruined Star Wars. Okay, James Gunn shoots big loads. What the fuck is happening? And that can't even be true. What is going on under Professor X's blanket he keeps over his legs? He has it in several variations. Seriously, what goes down under the blanket? Probably like old man boners. You know what I mean? Old man boners, which nobody wants to see. So keep that blanket on. Rossi says, forget Johnny versus Iceman, Heather versus She-Hulk. My God, chat. What happened to this chat? This is a family show. Or it was. All right, hang on. I want to find this other thing. We got to talk about something else here. Yeah. Da 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 da. I'm trying to do blah. Where's this at? Come on now. I can't believe we're going to talk about something John Campea said. All right, chat, we got to talk about something John Campea said, which I can absolutely believe is a thing. John, of course, veteran in the space, and much respected amongst his peers for his expertise in wiener gazing. Now, listen, Linda, John had an interesting report, and because it's relevant to the conversations about Spider-Man, Sony, Marvel, we're going to take a look-sees here. Also, this is not the first time we've heard something similar to this. And in fact, I think Alex Perez has kind of spilled the tea on this a little bit, as has Cryptic HD Quality. So, Campea on his show says Sony can't make their own live-action Spider-Man films because Disney doesn't want competing live-action Spider-Man film franchise since they're co-producing the MCU Spider-Man movies. And the thumbnail here says no more Spider-Verse. Okay, now, what's kind of interesting about this is this does coincide to reports that happened after, I think it was after Kraven, which bombed in unbelievable fashion. By the way, chat, any of you guys watch that Kraven, John? It's on Netflix. I can't bring myself to do it. Like, I still can't bring myself to do it. Did any of you watch? Is it okay? Should I watch it? Just let me know, okay? So, look, I'm pretty damn sure after that movie came out and bombed, we had this one guy at Sony that was like on his way out. He talked some mad shit, said they were snake bitten. He said the audience decided they sucked, even if they were good. It's like the audience's fault or whatever. And he said, we're not doing any more of those movies. I believe Cryptic reported this. I believe Alex reported this. They're not doing any more of these movies. Now, the redacted guy was an interesting voice in this whole conversation because he kind of had this idea. He was actually saying it before some of the others that the deal had changed and that there were going to be more Sony Marvel Spider-Man movies. And although he was never explicit about this, there were like my take was that he was kind of suggesting that you were going to get new MCU versions of the Sony Marvel universe that Sony was cooking up, because what he said had to do with Venom. And, you know, due to some things he was saying, but also what Alex was saying, we kind of know that Tom Hardy, probably not going to be Venom anymore. That ship has sailed, and I don't even think he's going to be in Secret Wars, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think they're going to give, justice to Tom Hardy, which is a shame. You guys know, some of you know this, some of you probably don't. I actually like those movies. A lot of you do not like those movies. I like those movies. I really like the third one too. Second one's pretty much hot poo-poo out of a butt. But I like the third one. I really like the first one. So I'm a little bit disappointed about that, but that is what it is. So going back to this whole Sony Marvel idea, it's basically, I think, being suggested here that you're going to get a whole new Venom that'll be Marvel. Campia says Sony can't make their own live-action Spider-Man films because they don't want a competing live-action film franchise since they're co-producing the Spider-Man movies. And due to the comments that were made when they decided to kill the Madam Web Craven universe, it did seem like they weren't going to do this without a Spider-Man again. And there were a lot of indicators that they basically realized, like, yeah, you need a Spider-Man for that, okay? So could we be looking at more than just Sony Spider-Man movies produced through Marvel Studios? I mean, technically, this is where it gets a little bit weird, but technically, this massive movie that's out there, like Sony gets the lion's share of that money, but it is a literal Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It's produced by Marvel Studios. It exists in the Marvel Studios catalog. It's what, the 38th or 39th Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. That is what it is. So that movie is a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Okay? But yes, Sony is getting the lion's share of that. 75% of the box office take for it, okay? It's interesting that due to them co-producing these movies, Marvel's, I guess, insisting that they don't go do their own thing anymore. Okay. Well, if I'm Sony, then the only way I play ball is if you do more than Spider-Man. Meaning, maybe you do a Venom Lethal Protector, or an Agent Venom, or maybe you do a Spider-Gwen. You know, maybe you do, I don't want to say like Toby and Andrew. I kind of think they'll probably just be done after Secret Wars, right? But there's all sorts of interesting stuff that you could do with the Spider-Man characters in the MCU themselves, right? So I guess that's possible. Like, let me ask you guys this straight up. Would you want that? Right? Like, would you want a actual Venom movie produced in the MCU where maybe he's fighting against MCU villains, maybe he teams up with maybe Spider-Man comes in for a second or something? I don't really know, but like, it seems like that would be what it would have to be, right? I suppose you could do Miles stuff with Peter alongside it. It kind of seems like they want to include those both together. I think, if anything, something like Spider-Man 2099 would be absolutely incredible. Like, I think that could work. That's technically like multiversal or future timeline shit. But I think that would be really, really good. Seems like there's some people that would be down. Venom and Punisher is nice. That's a nice combo, yeah. You see my point, though, right? I mean, Sony, they have the license. By all rights, they should be able to make movies with that license. They're no longer making the movies that existed in that universe and in that franchise they were building. Marvel says they can't go make their own because they're co-producing. I think there's certainly a way to sort of have your cake and eat it too. Now, there's a lot of questions on how the Sony-Marvel relationship from here will go regardless, because some people are saying it's a deal-by-deal basis, so they might not even, like, get Destin back. They really want to probably just go, but it might not happen. It seems like Tom Holland and Zendaya want to take a break, but they're probably going to do some Secret Wars stuff, at least Tom will. Destin is apparently doing Naruto, dude. And I am incredibly excited about that. Naruto with Destin and his team, holy shit, that has a chance to be absolutely incredible, right? But then what does Marvel do? Do they wait? And then do in 2 or 3 years another Spider-Man movie, and then 2 or 3 years another Spider-Man movie? Well, look, if I'm Sony, like, that's just unacceptable. Like, I can't have a movie every 3 years when I have this incredibly valuable license, when I can be doing all of this shit. So I think you need at least one other franchise. Venom is probably the best bet. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the one thing that the Tom Hardy trilogy proves is that there's a lot of interest in Venom. You could do a lot with that character in the MCU. So I'm not necessarily against it. And also, we have heard a lot of rumors about how this would all go. So I think it could actually be pretty good. I think it could be good. What do you think, chat? Venom was ass? No, it wasn't. Miles over Venom, perhaps? Maybe. Look, I really like Miles. I think Miles is a great character. I liked his comic run, especially before he was aged up, actually. But they've done some interesting things with him. And then, of course, the Spider-Verse movies are incredible. So the Spider-Verse movies really prove what you can do with Miles. The question, I guess, would be, can you tap into that without the multiverse? Right? Because I would imagine they want to stay in the Marvel Universe thing. It's like, okay, will Miles pop off as well without that? That's a serious question. It's really not that simple. Make Spider-Man villains team up with MCU villains. So you think it is that simple then? Rossi says with a $20 holla. Thank you, man. Says, I saw Kraven with Ben and Noah. I didn't even want to see the movie. Right before the movie, Stupendous Wave invites me on Rule of Two. I said no because I had to go see Kraven. Wave said, okay, you'll hate it. I really hate Kraven. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it. You know? The games literally prove that he would. I don't even know why this is a debate at this point, that he would what? Oh, Miles? Yeah. The games are pretty popular. I can see your point. What about Miles and Venom teaming up? Or what about Miles fighting Venom? Well, you probably need to set it up with Peter, yeah. Kraven is the only Sony movie I haven't seen. I haven't seen Madam Web. I haven't seen Kraven. I don't even remember the other ones. I did finally watch Morbius. It's terrible. And then I watched the Venom stuff for show. The Venom stuff's cool. Can we talk spoilers? Yeah. Okay, let me see. I missed some super chats here. Fishlegs Production says Sony produced Midnight Suns with Venom, maybe. Ooh, bro. Okay. I don't hate that. I think Venom on the Midnight Suns would be great. You watch Morbin Time, but not Sinners? Yeah. Yeah. Madam Web watch party? Oh God, why? Oh God, why? They did the Spider-Man and Miles Venom thing in the game already, by the way. Did they really? Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not a PlayStation guy, so I only played the first one. I'm hating. No, it's cool. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I probably should just watch that movie. I kind of want to watch that movie Nope too, because isn't it about like aliens or a flying saucer? Maybe I'll watch that one. Venom on Midnight Sun is a different adaptation. The MCU is tough. I think it would be great, man. I think it'd be awesome. It's all right. Okay. Yeah, I know. Since you got the Xbox, when you have the PC that plays pretty much the same games versus getting a PS5, you got it. You got it, man. But see, now I got an Xbox upstairs. I got an Xbox in the living room, and then I can play Xbox on my computer in this room. It's a beautiful thing. I love Nope. Take on the whole alien thing. Okay, yeah, I don't know too much about it, but yeah, it'd be interesting. So, final answer, chat. Are we down with more Sony Spider-Man movies produced by Marvel? A different franchise. Venom, perhaps? Maybe putting Venom into something else? I refuse to think you're good with money. What do you mean, good with money? Like frugal? Yeah, probably not. I don't know that I would say that I'm the most frugal person. Venom the Goat! Remember when Josh bought those Cokes? I do remember that. I'm 30 minutes behind the stream, but I just heard Jensen Ackles for Magneto. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's coming out from like terrible people that are not reliable. I have not seen anybody that's good talk about that. Proper 7146 says, my prediction, Doomsday will be peak. However, Secret Wars will be great theater experience with the cameos, but with little rewatchability. Oh, interesting. Okay. Probably too close to call. I mean, we don't know shit about Secret Wars other than like rumors and that I guess there were some leaks that came out recently, but it's way too early to call what I think Secret Wars will be. I think it's going to be a really, really good time, though. But yeah. Jonah Hill for Magneto. Yeah, and then he's like, I'll fucking annihilate you, dude. Like, that would be cool. Josh killing, trolling half the internet. Why would he be frugal? I mean, I probably should be a little more frugal, but you know, we all just, you know, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and it is what it is. Okay, it seems like a lot of us are down with Venom movies. Let's bring Tom. I think we're all in agreement here, and to finalize it, I think we all want Tom Hardy back as Venom, and we want him to be in the MCU now. And even bring Andy Serkis back as a director, and we're good. Those Venom movies weren't that bad. Tom Hardy has a new album with Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang, I believe it or not. Wait, what? Really? That's kind of interesting. I would like to announce here, officially on behalf of Warner Brothers, we will be using Miles Morales in Man of Tomorrow. Same powers, different name. He will go by Sharp Sideburns? What? James Gunn shoots big loads? What a horrible name. It's not even true. Yeah, they were. No, they weren't. You guys are crazy. What are we doing with the whiteboard? Good question. Let's get into it. No way. His rap name is Frankie Pulitzer. And the album is Czarface? No, see, that's my new name is Frankie Pulitzer. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. It's Frankie Pulitzer. Do you think they'd ever recast Peter Parker? Yeah, probably. But probably not anytime soon. Are you saying you have firsthand knowledge of James Gunn's load sizes? No, but I just have logic. So when you goon, you can't actually hold enough for it to be ample. Okay, and because he's such a freak and such a crazy whack-ass gooner, I'm just extrapolating from that to determine, potential load sizes and all that stuff. It's a family show. I want Hulk versus the Thing fight. Hulk mogs him. Yeah, a little bit, but then also, do you see those IMAX photos of Hulk when you're in the front row? And he just looks like this big ass, he doesn't look great. Doesn't look great. Josh, would Marvel releasing 2 trailers in 1 week or 1 day be part of the expensive marketing for Doomsday? Well, if they were both for Doomsday, yeah, but I guess the Endgame is kind of a setup for it. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, speaking of that, though, apparently Spider-Man Brand New Day did the most expensive marketing campaign that Sony has ever done. Now, they're a Japanese company, but they allowed the American subsidiary of Sony Pictures to spend $300 million on that marketing campaign, which is the same amount, or perhaps even just a little bit less, than James Gunn spent on Superman. Remember, Campia said, unless I'm mistaken here, Campia said that marketing for Superman could have been close to $400 million. I'm pretty sure he said that. So that obviously didn't work out for Superman, but it did work out for Spider-Man. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's break out these thick boy markers and let's get into the whiteboard of this all. Also, this is going to be experimental because we haven't done this in some time. Who is James Gunn? I've heard of Lame's Done. Good one. He is pretty lame, isn't he? Oh, what the fuck? Just had those set up and then smashed them down, huh? Okay. Okay, time to draw some art. Should I move it so you can see it better? Can you see it better there? I think that's pretty good. I think that's decent. Okay, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this work, okay? Should I go potty? Sniff the marker, sniff the marker. I would never. This is a family show, bro. Jeez. Man, this thick boy marker ain't doing shit. I can't even see this. Can you guys see this? Oh, it's because I didn't have it on its thick side. Hang on. Hang on. Squares? Very perceptive of you. They're actually rectangles, though. Yeah, I went to art school, actually. I did. All right, so I want to explain the X-Men plan, Marvel's X-Men plan. I saw yesterday, New Rockstars did a video that was We Finally Know or something like that, and it's like the X-Men plan. But fuck that, because they don't know shit. I know it. So listen up, Linda. We're going to talk about Kevin Feige's actual X-Men plan. We're going to talk about all the things we actually know about it. And we're going to use charts and graphs and squares and rectangles and all kinds of crazy shit to explain it to you. So here's what I want to do. Just set up the visualization for you. We're going to start over here with brand new day. That's the Spider-Man's movies that just came out. Shut your mouth. Then we're going to go to Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I will abbreviate. Then we're going to go MCU X-Men. Okay, so I want to try to like help you guys understand this shit. Okay, so the plan for the X-Men is multifaceted. It's being set up already in Spider-Man, but it will also be set up in Secret Wars and Doomsday, and it will connect. Several different things will connect to what we will then experience in the MCU's official reboot. So let's start with a couple of different things that set up things for the X-Men in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay, number one. Jean's sins. Okay, so this is obvious. It's also like a bit of a controversial thing. Like people are a little butthurt about how villainous or maybe irredeemable Jean is or whatever, right, in that thing. So, Jean's sins. What am I talking about when I say Jean's sins? I'm obviously talking about her possessing people, her attacking damage control, her actually freezing like an entire mile of people outside of an island when you're in this dust at the end of the Spider-Man movie. You know, what she does to William Metzger. She literally possesses Peter's girlfriend. Not a good look. Do I need to make it a little closer? Should I bring it a little closer? Can you see better? Can you see it good? So that's obviously going to have huge ramifications, but it's been done by design. The sins of Jean Grey are going to be a major catalyst for all sorts of stuff in the X-Men saga. So obviously, they're now going to have a lot more public fear, and damage control people within the United States government can link the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day to the emerging mutant kind and the thread and the X-gene and all that sort of stuff. So that being in the mind of people and them like freaking out about that, that's definitely going to be a thing. And that'll be something that's explored later on. So that is obviously something that Marvel did intentionally. And I think that it'll hang over everything that happens from here. Next up, Peter makes inhibitor. This is huge, man. It's another thing that a lot of people have brought up, and I think it's going to have obvious ramifications. Look, I love the memes. I've seen a lot of like Tom Holland as Oppenheimer or Spider-Man as Oppenheimer, and I think that's probably justified. At the end of the day, that thing that he did, which Banner kind of warns him as being really crazy and like really crossing a few lines, will have major ramifications as we get into the mutant saga. That inhibitor chip thing, that's going to be used to control mutants quite a bit. And technically, Peter created that and gave it essentially to damage control. So damage control will have that now. That's obviously huge. And that is setting something up that will directly connect Peter to the plight of the mutants and connect him potentially to characters like Jean and just all sorts of really, really interesting stuff. So you begin to see how those two major elements from this movie are going to inform what comes next. By the way, chat, just out of curiosity, like, how do you feel about Spider-Man making the inhibitor chip, and how do you feel about him potentially being so connected to the next saga? It's almost like Peter is now becoming the Iron Man, right? Because Iron Man, under the guise of wanting to protect and put a suit of armor around the world, creates Ultron, which creates all sorts of problems, and then there's Sokovia Accords, all sorts of stuff happens. You know, I saw some people in our Discord talking about this, but basically, Peter, he doesn't mention Tony in this movie at all, Brand New Day, which is kind of interesting. but he became a sort of genocidal maniac, just like all on his own. Because this does actually, similarly to Tony, create all sorts of problems, which are going to affect a lot of people. There's one more here that's really, really big, I think, and it is the Sarah and Jean scene, which some people thought was too much and should have been cut from the movie. What? Now, let's get into this here. Couple of different things that this actually sets up for the lore of the X-Men in the Mutant Saga. Number one, we do see that Sarah and Jean have their abilities at this age. Some people are saying that Jean Grey is meant to be like 16 in this movie. Okay, maybe. It could explain also why she's as crazy as she is, right? Because she's not mature. But either way you slice it, that's kind of hard to see on that board, huh? Damn. But look, either way you slice it, the scene's incredibly important because it shows that they were normal and then the mutation manifests. Now, in the comics, this usually happens around puberty. And the theme of this movie, in a lot of ways, is puberty. Like Peter's going through a spider puberty, which I think is even hinted at in the movie, maybe in one of the lines. But he's going through a puberty. Jean Grey's going through a puberty. And this would also explain why Sarah was more powerful than Jean at first, because it would mean that Sarah, being the older sister, would go through her changes and unlock her mutation before Jean. And at this point in the story, Jean's probably just beginning to get her powers, and she's asking Sarah about all sorts of things. Sarah's telling her that maybe someday with enough practice, you'd be able to control everybody here. And then when Sarah is taken, she possesses Jean and forces Jean to walk away. So that scene is actually really, really important. It shows that she went into foster care with her sister. The parents couldn't handle it, so the mom was a good mom right up until the X gene manifests and they both start having changes, and then the mom's a bad mom and they leave and they are in and out of foster care running around. We'd imagine a lot of other mutants are going through a similar thing. It'll probably be something that's carried over to mutants that emerge in the new saga. So it's really, really interesting. We don't get an exact, right? We don't get an exact like time frame for how long they were in foster care, how long were they running around. But the best indication that we have is that they probably around age 11 or 12 began to go into puberty and had that transformation take place. And pretty close to around that time of when Sarah goes to age 11 or 12, the parents go bad, they abandon the parents, and they're like that. However, something else that's really interesting is we obviously know that Damage Control is becoming aware of these psychic people. So there had to have been a breadcrumb trail or some proverbial fingerprints on some kind of a crime scene or something that's going to take you to try to black bag Sarah Grey, right? And take her and then try to utilize her power. We don't know what that was. It's never fully explained, but you would imagine something like that happened. Sarah probably did it. It tips them off to her and they capture her. Otherwise, like, I don't understand why they're doing that, right? So believe it or not, this movie actually sets up quite a bit for the future of the X-Men. Now, let's jump into Doomsday and Secret Wars, because there's a couple of interesting things that are going on with these movies that I think will also explain this. The first one will be Fox X-Men bad. Okay, let me explain. In this movie, the Fox X-Men are rumored to be very evil. Maybe not evil, but absolutely crossed the line and have done evil things. They have apparently survived countless incursions. They have apparently slaughtered other worlds. And they're even stealing refugees from some of these planets or from some of these worlds. And they're forcing them to work for the X-Men. Now, the reason this is important and how this will actually help to set up the X-Men over here is because I do believe the government, I do believe certain characters, I believe a lot of different operators within the Marvel Cinematic Universe will absolutely remember the incursion and the X-Men. A battle with the X-Men, potentially the X-Men even come into this universe and they do bad things, or it's just as simple as Sam Wilson after Secret Wars, because I don't think a lot of people will remember Secret Wars. I think a few people will, but I think basically everybody will remember most of Doomsday. Right up until the spell, right up until the destruction of everything, the creation of Battleworld, I think people will remember. So when we revert back to the regular canon, I think this shit will be remembered. At the very least, it'll be remembered by some of the Avengers, and then when they face this new younger group of X-Men, they will have sort of the memories, and they'll have sort of the predictive outcome, a sort of look at the possible future of what these characters will be, and that will absolutely inform some of the actions that different characters take when we finally get over here to the actual reboot, okay? So that's number one. Number two, this is not confirmed, but I feel strongly it'll happen. It's Doom's commentary, okay? Now, let me explain. Dr. Doom is said to possess an incredible amount of multiversal knowledge in this film. It is said that Doom has been out in the multiverse, studying the multiverse, and in fact, Doom is probably the one that knows about this X-Men universe and knows how brutal and dangerous that X-Men universe is, okay? But Doom has something that none of us have. And that is the perspective of how mutants get along or how they don't get along, what they do, what they don't do in a vast amount of alternate future timelines. And so I actually do expect that some of that commentary from Doom will actually make its way to other characters and inform or influence how they think of the X-Men when we finally get to this saga. I hope this is making sense to you guys, but basically, like, I really feel like what Marvel is doing, and I'll draw some lines and connect it to what's going to happen over here in a minute, but like, I strongly feel that these elements from Doomsday are there to set up an expectation and a connective tissue to the bad X-Men and to possible multiple future versions of the X-Men that will inform people of power within groups of villains or groups of heroes or within different governments when we finally get to that thing at the end, okay? So seeds will be planted, yes. And then finally, this is Secret Wars. It's basically variant X-Men, okay? So again, you will see X-Men characters in Secret Wars. And you might even see them doing certain things or being in charge of certain things that will inform the audience of what these characters are capable of and potentially inform certain characters that will remember stuff from Secret Wars. Now, I want to be clear here. I don't think a lot of characters will remember Secret Wars. But I think some characters will remember Secret Wars, and it's possible that what certain variants of X-Men do in Battleworld will again influence opinions and basically create tensions when these characters finally make it over here. Okay, so that's kind of like, you know, something I think is going on. There's also like the potential that you get the new cast. Some of the new cast people in Secret Wars, like Sadie Sink is basically confirmed to be in Secret Wars. So what does Sadie Sink Jean Grey look like on Battleworld? And does it inform the fear of like Phoenix, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's just like a lot of questions on like how that will exactly work. There's also stuff with the Children's Crusade elements. We've seen that maybe Wanda's children, who are both mutants, will be a part of Secret Wars, and it might connect to Wanda. There's even been some, like, I'll put that here. I'll actually put that here. I'll put Children's Crusade. because that actually has a strong chance of informing actual plotlines for this MCU Mutant Saga. Because one of the things that Shine said was that you might be getting a Wanda Maximoff as one of the main villains of the X-Men saga. So that's pretty freaking crazy. So, okay, let's talk about the actual MCU X-Men thing. And we'll talk about how all of these things can kind of connect to them, okay? So, again, Jean's sins and Peter's inhibitor very clearly connect over here to anti-mutant sentiment. Technically, Bad Fox X-Men connect to this. Doom's commentary connects to this. Maybe even some Children's Crusade stuff connects to this as well. But do you see what I'm saying? Between Jean's sins and Peter's inhibitor, you're going to get your anti-mutant sentiment, and you're going to have the way by which they control these people of power. Okay? And, you know, just like Tony had to deal with his weapons being out there and hurting people and Ultron doing a lot of damage, Peter's going to have to deal with that as well. So you're going to have I would imagine, an Avengers versus X-Men tension, okay? Which is connected to this, but we'll just type it out here. So we'll do A versus X. And again, all of these different things could connect into this Avengers versus X-Men thing, and Peter doing that definitely applies as one of those things as well. Let's talk about the new cast. This was connected literally with the Jean Grey introduction in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and it looks like a few of these characters might be introduced in Secret Wars as well. So this is kind of a fun way just to kind of like get you into your new cast. But essentially this new cast, other than Jean, probably not going to have a lot of deep history. Like even the Children's Crusade elements, it's possible they might do something really cool and then they connect to the new cast. But we haven't heard a lot about how Speed and Wiccan will actually be a part of the new X-Men. And they're usually not. They're usually a part of the Young Avengers or Champions, which that could absolutely be a thing that's explored in the new time period as well, and might even connect to some of that AVX kind of tension or energy. But obviously your new cast, you know, partially set up here, maybe partially set up here in Secret Wars, and then fully revealed, and we'll follow them here, okay? So I think that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people thought I was insane when I said that Jean would be introduced in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and she's going to be the new Robert Downey Jr. of this whole universe. She's the face of the thing. They really want to focus on Jean when they finally get in to the X-Men reboot. And then let's talk about a couple other things that we know about and how some of this shit could connect to it. So let's talk about, we'll go Apoc and Mr. Sinister. I'll just go Mr. S here because we're running out of space, okay? We have heard that Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister are the big bads of maybe the X-Men movie, but also possibly the entire X-Men saga, okay? So the thing that's kind of interesting about that is Jean Grey and her sins also connect to Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister. Because as Jean did what she did and show that she's as powerful as she is, Mr. Sinister would acknowledge that. He's the one that realizes that the Grey's bloodline is so important, and that the Summers bloodline is also really important, and together they will, of course, create Cable, Nathaniel Richards, and also his sister that raised him in one of them. I forget her name, right? But so that's kind of interesting. You could see how the setup of Jean Grey adds to Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister. But I have a big question about these variant X-Men. Do the variant X-Men also add into Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister? Because if you're going to introduce the new cast in Secret Wars, why not put Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister in Secret Wars and then bring them back over here. Now, this has to be, Rachel, thank you. This has to be handled delicately. And it's hard to, like, imagine them being in Secret Wars and being something other than just, like, a cameo or, like, a villain that just gets completely wiped off. Like, Apocalypse, maybe he's in Doom's court, and maybe there's, like, actual conversation there. Maybe there's something to it. But I'm not entirely sure. They were both in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, and they were used in really, really interesting ways. But I'm not so certain that will actually be fully set up in Secret Wars. But one thing that could be set up in Secret Wars that has to do with them is some lingering cosmic thread. So whether it's the first firmament or mad celestials or the celestials themselves recalibrating after the universe is brought back after Secret Wars, there's potential for the Secret Wars story to set up something that's very grand in its scope and consequences, because we have certainly heard that they want to go cosmic in the MCU X-Men saga. So, you know, the Jean stuff, it seems pretty grounded. You know, in Children's Crusade is like a bit grounded, but if it's on Secret Wars, maybe not as much. And you're definitely going to get your anti-mutant sentiment and your AVX stuff. That's all like Earthbound. But you do have some cosmic shit that is being built. So will we get some of that cosmic stuff perhaps set up in Secret Wars? I'm not really sure. That would be really, really interesting to me. And then I guess you could maybe consider that the Children's Crusade element would also come in here and basically adapt that. But so look at this chart, right? Look at the way that this flows. You have introducing your Spider-Man, Jean Grey, but not just Jean Grey in a way that creates a lingering thread that will eventually be explored and probably used to propel the anti-mutant sentiment and an Avengers vs. X-Men conflict. You're getting that with Peter and the Inhibitor. I think the Sarah and Jean scene will work really nicely over here to set our expectations of what to expect with the mutants overall, probably getting their powers a lot when they're going into puberty or something like that. So we're probably gonna have a lot of them sort of just popping up in the same way that Jean did. Maybe they've been on the road for a couple of years hiding, but it does seem like more and more X genes will be unlocked, more and more mutants will be coming online, and that's going to cause like an actual event, okay? Then going into Doomsday, you go away from that cast, using the Fox X-Men to continue to set up things that will be worked over here for this anti-mutant sentiment. Maybe you get some Doctor Doom commentary on that sort of stuff. Maybe you even get some variant X-Men, like variants of Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister, maybe variants of this new cast, you know, that'll be going over here. So Doomsday, even though it seems like it's like not very connected to the overall X-Men reboot thing, I still think it's going to do some heavy lifting to set some things up. But then Secret Wars has an incredible opportunity with those variants, with the Children's Crusade line, with cosmic potential, cosmic threads unraveling. You have a real chance to set up the big scale of what's going to happen with Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister. And so after Secret Wars, we're basically going to arrive back in the MCU where most people don't remember Secret Wars, but I do think they remember Doomsday. And I think that Fox X-Men bullshit is going to play a huge role in why people are so resistant to the mutants, why they're so scared of the mutants. Maybe Doom's commentary on this will be very, very interesting. And then again, there's the potential that Secret Wars also sets up some stuff here, which will be mostly forgotten from people. But will it be forgotten by everybody? Will some cosmic people understand? Will Apocalypse understand? Will the First Firmament understand? Will the Maker understand? Will that connect to what's going on there? We're not really sure. And other than that, I think you do get some Avengers movies. I think the majority of the movies will be X-Men or X-Men, you know, kind of movies. The overall thing that they're going to be just doing throughout the saga, I think is probably going to feel pretty standard X-Men, where they're saving a world that hates them. You know, people are afraid of them, and they're still going out there trying to save them. Charles is recruiting mutants. They're working against the stigmas, trying to do the right thing, dealing with their own shit, probably crossing lines, and creating a whole bunch of tension with the Avengers, right? Like, that's really key. That's really important. And I think that tension will be aided by what happens in Doomsday, right? Other than that, the cosmic elements, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister, that all seems fine and can kind of be built up on its own. But this is the actual X-Men plan. This is actually how Marvel Studios plans to use these next 3 movies to set up a lot of the foundation of what will happen in this MCU X-Men reboot. And I think you'll kind of go from like a grounded level up to more of a cosmic level, and all of that has connections to the previous 3 installments. So, with that being said, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this this X-Men plan? Do you understand it? Can you read the whiteboard? Do you get what I'm getting at here? What do you think, Chet? Annihilation? It's possible the Annihilation wave is a factor during this, and I do wonder how they would connect that to the mutants, or maybe they won't. No F4. So for now, it doesn't seem like you're going to get a Fantastic Four sequel anytime soon. And I think Kevin's literally just looking at the box office Fantastic Four, and because he made a comment the other day where he said 2 things can be true at one time. I thought Fantastic Four was unlike anything that had ever been put into theaters before, and it also only made $585 million. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm getting a sense that Kevin understands how hardball this industry is now, and he's just not going to fuck around. Why the fuck is Charles and Magneto playing checkers as the world is ending? Well, first of all, it's chess. It's not checkers. And also, you got to get a game in when you can. You got to get a game in when you can. You know what I mean? How do you see the existence of mutants in history of MCU versus in history of the post-reboot? When was Xavier School founded, and will Magneto or other mutants be born pre-blocker or whatever caused it? That is an incredible question. I think the way that they'll explain it is you'll probably have a scenario where there were a few mutants that emerged just naturally. So I think Namor's one, Apocalypse will probably be one, Magneto's probably one, Charles is probably one. But it is also probably the case that far less mutants popped up in the 616 Sacred Timeline as compared to how they would have in most other timelines. So I think you're going to get a lot of new mutants, a whole bunch of new mutants happening right around this time and then leading into the next saga. But I think they'll explain it that there were some mutants. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Nitsu. Appreciate it. Wolverine should be the one since he's old. The one that what? Oh, one of the ones? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he should be one of the ones that happen, yeah. Wait, so is Namor going to be recast? No, I don't think so. I just think he's way older than most of the other mutants, right? Did you see the Eternals looking at mutants as deviants? I think that's going to happen. I'm not 100% sure how they'll do it, but I think that's going to be a thing, yeah. Prophet says, I want Hulk versus the Thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Yes. Yeah, no, I am excited for the X-Men thing, and I like this plan. I think it's really brilliant, man, and it's like subtle too, because you're building some stuff here that's really, really important. Doomsday, you might look past Doomsday and you're like, they're probably not going to build too much. No, I think they will, man. I think they're really going to set some X-Men stuff up here, and then I think Secret Wars sets up X-Men stuff in a certain kind of a way, and it's like almost how all of them are going to meet together and set up sort of the ground level explanation for what's going on with the mutants. And the mutants kind of will do old school Charles Magneto at odds for the fate of the world, the X-Men trying to save a world that hates them. While there's this extra cosmic element, there's potentially a whole bunch of crazy stuff that certain people know about other versions of the X-Men It's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna be cool. What we need really is Hulk versus Wolverine. Yeah, and there were a lot of rumors that you're still gonna get that, actually. A lot of people are suggesting that's still on the table. I hope it is. How do you think the Doomsday opening numbers will do compared to Brand New Day? I think Doomsday will do better, legitimately. The only question mark there is Dune, right? Because Dune's good. Dune's popular. People like Dune. It's got the IMAX screens and everything, right? But yeah, I would imagine Doomsday's going to absolutely annihilate. Like, if anything, what Spider-Man just did is great news for Doomsday. So many people just went out to the theaters and had an incredible time with a Marvel movie. So when they see that Doomsday shit, they're going to remember that. And they're going to want to go. Probably be a double feature like Barbenheimer. Yeah, and some people are going to do that. Some people are into it for show. Josh, if the inhibitor worked on Peter Parker, does that mean he is technically a mutant? Oh, yeah. But it's like, he's not a mutant. He's a mutant like Mr. Sinister's a mutant. Mr. Sinister actually didn't have an X gene. He splices mutating genes into his own genome. So he has like crazy hybridization thing going on. Spider-Man, similar, but it's the spider DNA, right? He's not a X gene mutant, but he is a mutant. Yeah, fake mutation. I'm surprised you're still alive. I guess you're feeling better, Joshy. I'm actually just feeling a little under the weather, but I'll be live again tonight at 7:30 to deep dive on Warhammer. Should we just do it now? Should we just go Warhammer stream now? Do like 2 more hours on Warhammer? He was bitten by a radioactive spider. You don't say. You don't say. Bye. Yes. The duality of man right there. The duality of man. Warhammer Wednesdays. Damn. Yeah, we're going to do it tonight, 7:30. It's going to be really fun. Let's talk Hulk first. What about Hulk? What about it? What do you want to talk about Hulk? Hulk's cool. Josh, I can't afford to get into Warhammer yet, but I can learn the lore. Well, that's a good place to start. It's a good place to start. Check out Warhammer Explained. Really, really good YouTube channel. Jay, I can't confirm that, but it would be great, huh? Will Disney Quest or Vision Quest be the last Disney Plus show? I don't think so, but I'll be very interested to see what they greenlight from here. So we actually did hear that Champions and Strange Academy might become movies now. And that just seems to indicate that, again, like they're just really over this TV business thing. And I think that's a good idea, but I don't think they're going to completely exit it. Check out Poor Hammer for some great ideas for Broke Vengers. That's true. They do have a great way to keep costs down. Yeah. Hickman coming back strong for Midnight Run, Josh. You got to catch up on reading, please. I know, I do. You're right. You're right. I got to catch up on my reading. I did not do the Tokon beta because I'm so bad at fighting games. But maybe I'll go get a coach. Should I hire a fighting game coach? And then maybe I'll be the best. Maybe I'll be the best there ever was. How will Steve return the Soul Stone? He'll probably show up to Vormir. He'll be like, oh, dude, Red Skull? No way. That's crazy, bro. I can't believe that Hawkeye didn't mention this to me. Well, guess what? Fuck you! And then he punches him in the face. We just said you were bad with money. Yeah, that's true. Why wouldn't the Spidey alert in the post-credit scene just be Tobey Spider-Man? It could be, but that would imply then that there's a parallel universe where Tobey Spider-Man. Well, I mean, unless you're, it still doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. Like, is it Tobey? Maybe. If somebody saw Tobey Spider-Man, they wouldn't necessarily be able to discern that that's a different Spider-Man, so they could report it on the app. Okay, so I see that. But why and how would someone be on Tobey's world to report it? Because he's not on Earth, right? It says not on Earth. So how the fuck? There's an incursion, right? But then you're talking about then an incursion that would have to happen. I guess here's one way. Here's one way it could work. It's not a real app report, though. Like, was it an actual report? I mean, I would assume it is. Here's the one way it could work. If the incursion opens and you actually see the other Earth and you actually see Spider-Man on the other Earth, you'd have to have like a telescope or you'd have to be like looking pretty good, right? But if you actually saw Spider-Man and reported it from our Earth as being on another Earth, maybe. That's actually the only way it could happen. And I still don't think it makes a lot of sense. I repeat, the signal from the app was not on a planet. It was on a spaceship. That's true. We don't know that for sure if it's a spaceship or a planet. But that still doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like, how could you report it back to be received on the planet from the spaceship? Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just felt like it was a meta thing. Yeah, it's probably just not meant to be... Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably not meant to be perceived the way I am perceiving it. It's probably just meant to be like a fun little thing. Yeah. Yeah, who's reporting the sighting on the app or if you were in space? That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I think it's Deadpool breaking the fourth part wall and reporting Tobey Maguire when he sees Maguire's world is an incursion. That would be kind of funny. Josh, do you agree Hot D is kind of mid? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's finally picking up a bit, though. But yeah, it's been kind of mid. Wi-Fi. That's a pretty good signal. It's pretty impressive. Whatever, bub. I'm going to make like Kang the Conqueror, who's the best thing in Ant-Man realm, and just win fanboys. I don't know what that means. But Kang was terrible. Kang was terrible. Yeah, it's all right. It's good enough that I'm still watching it every Sunday, you know? But not necessarily good enough where I'm like wanting to make content about it or talk about it on stream. I missed your super chat. Yeah, right, Jake. Yeah, right, Jake. Oh, it says you watching Hot D? Aegon's Conquest about the pound box. Shit, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm about to go pound some bucks, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it probably will crush. I'm excited for that movie. Thrones in general does seem to still be on the rise, even though this season, and I think House of the Dragon's not like the best. Between that and Night of the Seven Kingdoms, I think they're doing just fine. And yeah, I bet that movie will be legit. Could be legit. All right, everybody. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Much love, man. I know, look, by the way, too, you know, I know we went over a controversial topic today. You guys don't have to agree with me. You know what I mean? You can think it's a bad take. You could think it's whack. Like, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. I know, too, that with these sort of things, it's sometimes hard to explain. But I thought I did a decent enough job of explaining it. At the end of the day, the real reason I brought that up is mostly for the people that are concerned that we're just going to get more of Phase 4 and 5. And I'm like, here to tell you that I feel pretty strongly we're not going to do that again. And for better or worse, I do think Kevin had many very negative experiences with the very kind of people he was trying to help. That's just my interpretation of it. and it makes me understand some of the things he's doing now. But at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't really matter that much, because I'm sure that they'll do stuff that I don't like, and they'll do stuff that you don't like, and they'll do stuff that I really like, and they'll do stuff that you really like, and that's just fandom, right? So it's like it's not like we're not gonna have controversies or we're not gonna have like issues, but really and truly, man, and maybe it's just because I am kind of shocked that it happened the way that it did. And I did literally like live through it as a content creator. Like, I've been hearing little things like that for a while, and that report from the homie sort of crystallized it for me. You know what I mean? And it's just like, look, facts is facts. Like, Gal just seems terrible, and she made Harmon do like a 40-hour podcast about like learning about racism and shit. And it's just like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. You know, like we're the pendulum has swung, maybe even potentially too far to the other side, but it has certainly swung, and people are just not about that. And I honestly feel bad for Kevin, like legitimately. I feel bad for Kevin because he really did just want to open the door to other voices, and I think he did it out of genuine kindness. You know, and then Jessica Gao was such a nasty bitch that he brought back all the old white guys. You know what I mean? Like, basically, that's what happened. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here before everybody gets fucking sensitive about it. The Daddy Dane Show says, I'm too much of a Josh Shill to disagree. Also, much love. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. All right, everybody, much love. Appreciate you. Another banger of a stream. I thought it was a banger. No stream tomorrow, don't get mad. Stream tonight, though. Warhammer Wednesday. It's like a bubble bath. It's a good time. Come on by for that. And then we'll be back at it on Friday. It's gonna be good, my nerd adventure. It's gonna be good. And as I always say, I hope you, that's right, you, have an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. No, don't do that. All right, cool. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Now, I know what you're thinking, and I know you're a little disappointed, but yes, you will have to wait until 7:30 tonight to get my full thoughts on the Warhammer shit. I know, it's all you wanted to talk about. It's all you wanted. I know, it's all you can't stop thinking about it. I know. But good things come to those that wait. Till 7:30 tonight. Same channel. It's Warhammer Wednesday. Daniel says we're still waiting on a Warhammer emoji. Adam! Why don't we have a Warhammer emoji? God. This is the end of the stream. I probably should get a different outro screen. You're right. You're right. You're not wrong. Okay, everybody. Much love. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Plenty of fun on the horizon for us. Trust me. I've been making plans. I've been eating yams. I've been cracking clams. That's all I got on that one. All right. Get on out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do me a couple of favors. First off, open up your third eye. And then, wash out your stinky, stinky butt. Hole. See ya.